Chapter 999. After several months of thunder and lightning baptism, Ling Xiao felt that his soul power was growing rapidly. He could already fall into the sea of thunder and lightning without suffering any damage. He seemed to have developed an immunity to the thunder and lightning. Ling Xiao didn't expect such an outcome. His own fleshly body was comparable to a high-grade saint artifact, but when faced with these lightning bolts, his skin and flesh were still split open. However, his soul was able to gradually adapt and strengthen like a fish in water. This was truly inconceivable. Could it be that the soul power needs to be tempered by the power of thunder and lightning to become stronger? Ling Xiao couldn't help but wonder. He now found that as his soul power became more and more real, the spiritual fluid in his sea of consciousness also became more and more pure. The impurities in it were also blasted away by the power of thunder and lightning. In this sea of thunder and wind, Ling Xiao's body could be seen doing different actions. One hand was holding the medicine cauldron, while the other was waving the 9-sun heaven-burning fist in the sea of thunder and lightning. Every punch generated power, resisting the power of thunder and lightning in the surroundings. Looking at his other self, Ling Xiao suddenly exclaimed, "I understand now. My spiritual power has long surpassed an ordinary level 8 sacred medicine master. It is not surprising that it is comparable to a level 9 sacred medicine master. Therefore, the power of my soul is not inferior to my body at all. In fact, it is much more powerful. It is just that I didn't know how to train in the past and didn't clean up those impurities. Now that I have been tempered by this sea of thunder, I can truly unleash the power of my soul doppelganger." In the past, Ling Xiao had absorbed the power of too many remnant souls and contained a lot of impurities. Although he had the help of the spiritual fluid to clean them up once, he had also absorbed the power of other remnant souls. Naturally, the spiritual fluid had become somewhat mixed. This time, the purification of the sea of thunder could clean up all these impurities, making the spiritual fluid even more pure and vast. Now I can let my soul doppelganger try over there. If it really doesn't work, then forget it. After Ling Xiao muttered to himself, he flew towards the place where the sea of thunder was the densest. His physical body didn't get too close. Instead, he let his soul avatar slowly walk in. Ling Xiao's soul avatar seemed to be in a much better state after being bombarded by these lightning bolts. He didn't suffer too much damage, but the closer he got, the harder it became. His soul became illusory, as if it could dissipate at any time. Although Ling Xiao and his soul avatar were both independent existences, his soul avatar was still under the control of his true body. It was no different from him personally visiting the Thunder Sea Forbidden area. He could clearly see all the lightning scenes in front of him. However, just when Ling Xiao thought he was going to get something good, countless dense purple lightning bolts shot out from inside. The power was many times stronger than the lightning bolts outside. Before Ling Xiao's soul force could escape, it was immediately destroyed by the explosion. He immediately lost all sense of Ling Xiao's true body. A look of fear appeared on his face. He lifted the medicine cauldron and began to run with all his might. His speed was no slower than when he encountered the black and white giant eagle. After running for a few days, Ling Xiao finally stopped to catch his breath. He kept patting his chest and said, "Damn, what kind of spiritual beast is that? It's too scary. It just stared at me and it turned my avatar into ashes." Ling Xiao clearly remembered that before his soul avatar was destroyed, he saw a pair of terrifying lightning eyes, which terrified him. He was really afraid that the spiritual beast would chase after him. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to deal with it even if there were 10 of him. Ling Xiao completely dispelled the idea of deliberately looking for a thunder attribute holy treasure. He began to fly at full speed away from the Thunder Sea Forbidden area. He wanted to reach the Empyrean stronghold as soon as possible. Along the way, although Ling Xiao didn't look for any more holy treasures, he still obtained some good items with the wind and thunder attributes. After half a year of trekking, Ling Xiao finally reached the final barrier. As long as he broke through this barrier, he would be able to reach the heaven realm. Ling Xiao summoned Eurofei, Feng Qingyuan and Sha Tian to let them witness this moment. "Once we break through this place, we'll reach the heaven realm. I think the barrier here must be the thickest. It's best if we work together to break through it." Ling Xiao suggested as he looked at the three of them. The three of them nodded at the same time, agreeing with Ling Xiao's suggestion. I can finally see Big Brother Evil Emperor. Feng Qingyuan thought excitedly in his heart. Under the full strength of the four of them, a few of their most powerful attacks struck the spatial barrier at the same time. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A small hole appeared in the spatial barrier, and the four of them entered at the same time. Just as they passed through the spatial barrier, all the rumbling thunder and the whistling of the wind completely disappeared, and the world returned to its original clarity. The four of them floated in the air, looking at the barren mountain in front of them that was in a sorry state, and they were instantly dumbfounded. There were many traces of battle on the barren mountain. The mountain ridges were ravaged with thousands of holes, and the pits were hundreds or even thousands of meters deep. It was obvious how intense the battle was. However, these traces seemed to have been left behind a long time ago. The four of them closed their eyes, hoping to feel the traces of consciousness left behind by the battle. Unfortunately, other than a few illusions of the battle, they couldn't see anything else. Is this the Heaven Realm stronghold? Why can't I feel anything special? Ling Xiao muttered to himself gloomily. The Heaven Realm stronghold was at the edge of the Heaven Realm, and it was the only way to reach the center of the Heaven Realm. He originally thought that the heaven and earth spiritual qi here was 100 times denser than the Xianling continent, and there would be countless strange flowers and plants. However, what he saw now was too far from what he had imagined, and he felt uncomfortable in his heart. Don't be disappointed. This Heaven Realm stronghold is just a place where the great powers of the Heaven Realm send their disciples who don't have tenbin. It can be said that this is a barren land at the border, and the heaven and earth spiritual qi is only slightly stronger than the central region. Feng Qingyuan explained with a smile. From the looks of it, she seemed to know a lot of things. Master's wife, how do you know about this? Ling Xiao asked Feng Qingyuan in surprise. Feng Qingyuan revealed a beautiful smile and said, Of course it was told to me when your master came back. Ling Xiao was a little dissatisfied as he muttered, Master is too unkind. Back then, when I asked him about the situation in the Heaven Realm, he didn't tell me anything. He only said that I would know when I reached the Saint Realm. Now I don't know where to go. Your master didn't expect you to reach the Saint Realm so quickly. Besides, this place isn't as serious as you think. As long as we keep a low profile, no one will care about us, because our strength is insignificant in the Heaven Realm. However, if we want to reach the true Heaven Realm, we must have enough travel expenses. Feng Qingyuan said again. At the side, Eurofei asked in puzzlement, What other travel expenses do we need? This is the Heaven Realm's place of exile, and if we want to reach the Heaven Realm, we must use the Heaven Passage formation. This Heaven Passage formation is controlled by the great powers here, and each person needs 10 million high-grade Xian crystals to enter and exit. These Xian crystals are not easy to obtain for ordinary people, but it won't be difficult for us. The most important thing for us to pay attention to is that there is only one chance to head to the Heaven Realm every year, and the quota is extremely limited. If we can't get a spot, we will have to wait until next year to have another chance. In addition, we must not offend the powers here. Even though they are exiled, they have half a holy emperor or even a holy emperor guarding them. Feng Qingyuan said. Holy Emperor. Haha, we will soon have a holy emperor on our side, so there's no need to be afraid of them. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Eurofei said from the side. Why is the quota limited? I don't know either. I only heard Xiao, Er's master, say that. Feng Qingyuan said. I think those people in the Heaven Realm might think that the people here are lowly and don't allow them to enter and leave as they please. Ling Xiao guessed. Don't think so much. Let's go. There is at least half a month's journey from here to the city. Once we reach the city, we will use the transmission array to go to the places under the jurisdiction of the great powers. Only there is a Heaven Passage formation there. Feng Qingyuan called out and flew in a direction. When the evil emperor returned to the central region, he had already told Feng Qingyuan about the situation here. It was so that Feng Qingyuan would know the direction when he came to the Heaven Realm. As the few of them flew, they realized that there were very few auras in this barren mountain range. There was not a single person to be seen, and there were even fewer spirit beasts. It was obvious that this was the poorest place in the Heaven Realm stronghold. After the group rushed for 10 days, they started to meet some people. Ling Xiao had thought that there would be saints everywhere, but he realized that these people also had the strength of an Empyrean. On the contrary, he had not met any saints with the strength of the mystic emperor. Ling Xiao asked in confusion, "Didn't they say that the Heaven Realm is a place where saints live? How can there be such a powerful existence?" Feng Qingyuan explained again, "Are you stupid? Who was born as a saint? Do you think that everyone here came from the mystic spirit continent? These people should be the original residents of the Heaven Realm stronghold. They have been here since they were born, and their strength has been cultivated bit by bit." Ling Xiao slapped his forehead and said, "That's right, why didn't I think of that? I'm really stupid." When the group approached the city, they immediately retracted their auras and landed in front of the city. This city was the poorest city in the Heaven Realm stronghold, but it was not inferior to the 10 great cities in the central region. There were countless martial artists coming and going, and all of them were extremely capable. Empyrean and Mystic Emperor level martial artists were actually walking around like cabbages. It did not seem like they were very arrogant. Seeing this situation, Ling Xiao knew that although this was the place where the Heaven Realm was banished, it was already many times more prosperous than the central region. The few of them were not in a hurry to continue on their journey. They first found a place to stay in the city, and then they walked around the city, planning to understand more about the Heaven Realm stronghold and the situation in the Heaven Realm. However, before they had the time to understand the situation, they were targeted by others. Chapter 1000. Although this was the first time Ling Xiao had come to the Heavenly Region Fortress, he did not know that he was already on the list. This was because the owner of the Ghost Mother Demon Array that was set up under Wind Cloud City was in the Heavenly Region Fortress. Back then, when the demon array was broken by Ling Xiao, the owner of this place flew into a rage and posted Ling Xiao's appearance in the Heavenly Region Fortress. If anyone discovered that Ling Xiao was here, whoever caught him would be rewarded handsomely. Back then, the owner of the Ghost Mother Demon Array had issued this mission out of anger. One had to know that Ling Xiao was only a heavenly venerable at that time. If he wanted to come to the Heavenly Region Fortress from a place where spirit energy was scarce, it would undoubtedly be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Perhaps it would take thousands of years. However, the mission had already been issued, and it was not good to take it back. Thus, it was left there. In any case, no one could complete the mission, and there was no need to pay the reward. Of course, Ling Xiao did not know about this situation. He brought the three of them along the spacious official road, planning to look around and find someone to understand the situation here. However, before they had the chance to understand the situation, they immediately realized that they were being followed by someone. "We're being watched." Eurofei transmitted a message to Ling Xiao to remind him. Ling Xiao had long sensed it and nodded. "And let's see what they want first. They dare to come and find trouble with this little strength? Truly reckless." Feng Qingyuan was extremely disdainful. They all sensed that the person following them was not particularly strong. He was only at the mystic Tharch realm. This kind of strength would be considered a super expert in the middle region. However, in their eyes, it was not even worth mentioning. Those people were obviously unable to see through Ling Xiao and company's strength. They only saw that they were so young and did not have much to worry about. There were more than 10 people on the other side. They quickly surrounded Ling Xiao and company. The leader, the high-level mystic Tharch, said, "I have something to say to you. Please follow us." His words were polite, but it was filled with killing intent, and did not allow anyone to refuse. Sha Tian wanted to immediately deal with these people, but Ling Xiao stopped him with a hand gesture. "Yes, you do have something to say to us." Ling Xiao gently nodded. His eyes shone brightly as he forcefully sent his mental energy into the man's sea of knowledge. After the mystic Thearcha's expression became slightly sluggish, he respectfully led Ling Xiao and the others in a certain direction. They arrived at a decent manner. The rest of the people were left outside by the mystic Tharch. Ling Xiao and company swaggered into the hall and sat down. "You can tell us now. Why did you look for us?" Ling Xiao asked the Xian Tharch. The man replied honestly, It's because the Mercenary Alliance has issued a mission related to you. Capturing you will give you a pot of spring water of life and 50 million high-grade profound crystals. Oh, just who would be so generous to actually want this consort's life? Ling Xiao asked in surprise. He had only just arrived at the Empyrean stronghold, but he was already being targeted by an imaginary enemy. This was not good news at all. It's a mission from the ghastly puppet sect, one of the four great forces. Emperor Xian replied. Ghastly puppet sect? Tell me everything you know in detail. Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. Immediately after, Emperor Xian roughly explained the distribution of the ghastly puppet sect and the other forces. The ghastly puppet sect was only the weakest of the four great forces in the Empyrean stronghold. However, its sect was mysterious and evil, and it specialized in refining puppets and corpse demons to survive. The other three great forces were the Myriad Sword sect, the Yang family, and the 100 Alliance race. There were also many other small and large forces scattered all over the place. Based on his understanding, the area of the Empyrean stronghold was actually 2 to 3 times larger than the Profound Spirit sect, and the strength of the various great powers was also extremely strong. For example, the Holy Emperor, who was the first person to be abandoned in the Heaven Realm, was present in these four great powers. After tens of thousands of years of development, they were already at the top, and no one dared to challenge their position. The Myriad Sword sect lived up to its name, and everyone in the sect used swords. It was the strongest of the four great powers, and the Yang family was a member of a branch of a superpower in the Heaven Realm. They had a noble bloodline, and even though they were abandoned, they were still doing well here. As for the 100 Alliance race, it was a large force formed by dozens of families. When facing a foreign enemy, they would form an alliance, and normally, they would have nothing to do with each other. Then is there a force called the Lotus sect among so many forces? It's the person with a lotus flower between his eyebrows. Ling Xiao asked the Emperor Xian after listening. This was related to Yun Mingqi's whereabouts, so Ling Xiao had no choice but to keep it in mind. When the Emperor Xian heard this, he revealed a look of respect and said, "The people from the Lotus sect in our Empyrean stronghold are long gone. They have all returned to the Heaven Realm. If they didn't leave, they wouldn't be any weaker than the four great powers." What? They returned to the Heaven Realm? What's going on? Ling Xiao asked nervously. I'm not too sure about the specifics. I just heard that a divine body was born in their generation. After that, their bishop found out and brought them all back to the Heaven Realm. The Emperor Xian said. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao muttered, and then asked a lot of related questions. In the end, he only knew that there were countless big powers in the Heaven Realm. And the space there was hundreds of times more than here. There were even real gods. Hearing this, Ling Xiao and the others were all in a daze. However, the mystic Tharch added that he had only read about it in some ancient records, and had never actually been to the Heaven region. The truth had yet to be verified. However, the valuable information that Ling Xiao received was that in about half a year, the annual opening of the Heavenly Array would only allow 100 people to enter. Every year, the competition for the slots for the Heaven Connecting Formation was extremely intense. Saints and even Saint Kings from various forces would participate. Many young prodigies would head to the Heaven region to improve themselves. There were also many people who were unwilling to stay in the Heaven region strongholds, and would fight for the slots. Therefore, every year, at that time, the Heavenly Array would be filled with rivers of blood and corpses. Without a certain level of strength, anyone who went would only die. With so few spots, it seems like we have to be fully prepared. Ling Xiao pondered. If the Holy Emperor were to join the Heavenly Array, then everything would be different. With their combined strength, it would be difficult for them to be a match for any of the Holy Emperor. Then what do you think we should do? Yuro Fei asked Ling Xiao. She was already his woman, and now she would listen to this enemy's arrangements. Increase your strength. Only the Holy Emperor can firmly take the top 100 spots. Ling Xiao's dragon eyes revealed a bright light. With Ro Fei and Sha Tian's strength, they both have a chance to advance to the Holy Emperor. However, I'm afraid it won't be easy to break through in just half a year. Feng Qingyuan said from the side. Master's wife, don't worry. With me here, they will definitely succeed. I will refine a saint pellet for you, so that you can advance further. Ling Xiao said with certainty. Don't worry about me. With the wind stabilizing stone, I am confident that I can advance further in half a year. Back then, your master left me some things, which will be of great use now. Feng Qingyuan replied. Master is truly biased. Back then he didn't leave anything for me. Ling Xiao said gloomily. Your master is also doing this for your own good. He is afraid that you will rely too much on external forces and shake your foundation. Feng Qingyuan said. How do we deal with the Yin puppet sect? Yuro Fei asked. Ignore it for now. I still don't know what's going on. No matter how many of them come, I will kill them all. As long as the Holy Emperor doesn't make a move, Ling Xiao said. In the following days, Ling Xiao and the rest did not leave the city for the time being. He instructed Sha Tian and the Emperor Xian to purchase all sorts of high-level spirit herbs and Tier 8 beast cores. Ling Xiao had to be completely prepared before he planned to rush to the heaven-connecting formation. Yuro Fei and Feng Qingyuan, on the other hand, were focused on cultivation. The two girls had obtained saint treasures of the corresponding attributes when they passed through the 9 checkpoints, which would allow their strength to increase once again. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to call Xian Yao out. He had to know what to do next in order to be safe. Right now, Xian Yao had already successfully broken through to the low-level Emperor Xian cultivation. With the help of Ling Xiao's supreme-grade Emperor Xian pellet, his strength had increased by another level. Fraud, quickly make a few divination and see if this trip will be good or bad. Ling Xiao said to Xian Yao. Palace mistress, when did you believe in this? Didn't you say that my little skill was a lie? Xian Yao smiled faintly. Enough with the nonsense. This is the first time I've come to the Empyrean fortress, and I've already been targeted. There's a Saint Emperor there. I just want to know when I've gotten myself into such trouble. Could it be that there's someone here who looks like me and I've fallen into the wrong trap? Palace mistress, don't be anxious. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, we can't avoid it. Let me take a look. Xian Yao comforted him, and took out something that looked like a turtle shell. He took it out and shook it a few times before opening it. Xian Yao muttered to himself as he looked at the direction of the divination. His brows gradually furrowed. Ling Xiao asked worriedly, how is it? The main danger is the Yin demon, located in the Big Dipper. And there's a heavenly demon acting violently. The star blood is opened. This is a sign of great misfortune. Xian Yao said very seriously. Yin demon, heavenly demon? What's that? Ling Xiao asked confusedly. He didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. Ever since he started cultivating, he had faced countless life and death battles. This was the first time he felt uneasy. I might know who this Yin demon is. This heavenly demon is a malefic star that descended from the heavens. Wherever he appears, blood will flow like a river. His baleful aura is very heavy. I don't know who he is, but I'm sure he's with the Yin demon. However, according to the divination, the heavenly demon is still under the Yin demon. Maybe he hasn't fully grown yet. Xian Yao said. Then tell me who this Yin demon is first. Ling Xiao asked. He had made many enemies in the central region, but he really couldn't think of anyone he had offended in the heavenly region stronghold. If I'm not wrong, this Yin demon should be the owner of the Ghost Mother Demon Child formation. Xian Yao said with certainty. The Demon Child formation that was broken under Wind Cloud City? Ling Xiao suddenly thought of the terrifying demon that had appeared twice. Chapter 1001. After knowing the potential enemies, Ling Xiao didn't think about how to avoid them as that wasn't his character. Ling Xiao asked Sha Tian and the mystic Tharch named Shi to buy a lot of high-grade spirit herbs and beast cores before leaving this place immediately. He had to bring Yuro Fei and Sha Tian to the Holy Emperor realm in order to guarantee his strength. Yuro Fei and Sha Tian were on the same level as each other, but she didn't have many light attribute holy items in her hands. It would be difficult for her to reach the Holy Emperor realm. Anyway, Sha Tian had the 10,000-year geocentric spring and Ling Xiao's 10,000-year tree fruit. With the combination of the two, he had a 70% chance of breaking through successfully. After making the decision, Ling Xiao and his group arrived at a desolate forest and let Sha Tian and his spirit beasts break through first. Ling Xiao had made the greatest preparations. He got Xianyao to set up the spirit-absorbing array, and got Yu Rofei and Feng Qingyuan to protect him, making sure that nothing would go wrong. After doing all these, Ling Xiao handed a lot of 10,000-year geocentric spring and 10,000-year tree fruit to Sha Tian. Sha Tian had been waiting for this day for a long time. His soul spirit might have been branded with a high-grade mental curse by Ling Xiao, but it didn't hinder his thoughts. After adjusting for 3 days and 3 nights, Sha Tian was in peak condition. He consumed the 10,000-year geocentric spring and 10,000-year tree fruit. He activated the mystic art in his body and tried his best to absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings. The heavenly domain fortress was the poorest place in the heaven region. However, the heaven and earth spirit energy here was still more than 10 times denser than the mystic spirit continent. There was also a thin source of energy here which was enough for someone to suddenly reach the Holy Emperor realm. Half a month later, a strange phenomenon descended near Ling Xiao and the others. 2 halos of wood and water energy continuously hovered above them, and didn't dissipate for a long time. The natural energy within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles was completely sucked dry. This attracted the attention of many experts nearby. Only the Holy Emperor is capable of draining all the spiritual qi in this area. Looks like someone else has broken through to the Holy Emperor realm. Which lucky guy managed to get his hands on origin energy? Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to do it with just the impurities in the world. It's better to hide a little further away. If he succeeds in his breakthrough, it won't be worth it to start with us first. Looks like this year's Battle of Tongtian is going to be another bloodbath. The peerless experts in the surroundings all sensed the changes in the world, and let out sighs one after another. When all the visions were over, Sha Tian really did suddenly enter the realm of the Holy Emperor. That domineering aura shattered several mountains in the surroundings into dust. That terrifying sword qi swept out in all directions, slashing out terrifying sword marks one after another. Haha, I've finally entered the realm of the Holy Emperor. Thank you, Master. Sha Tian laughed excitedly. It's good to keep a low profile. Quickly retract your aura. Don't hurt us. Ling Xiao said, looking at him from afar. He could clearly feel that Sha Tian had the power to destroy heaven and earth. He could destroy a part of the world with just a wave of his hand. Compared to before, the difference was like heaven and earth. With such a holy emperor as his bodyguard, he felt more at ease. In this strange environment, the stronger one was, the more secure one would be. After Sha Tian entered the realm of Saint, Ling Xiao set off again. This time, he rushed to the territory of the Yang family, one of the 4 great forces. The reason why he chose to go to the Yang family first was because the Yang family had a good reputation in the heavenly region stronghold. They rarely bullied others, and there was a transmission array in the city directly under the Yang family that led directly to the heaven-connecting formation. Other than that, Ling Xiao mainly wanted to take a look around the Yang family's territory to see if he could find a suitable holy object for Eurofei's breakthrough. After all, light attribute spiritual objects were not easy to find. If even such a great force could not find one, then he would not know where to go to find it. With Shi leading the way, after more than a month of travel, after passing through dozens of transmission arrays, they finally arrived at the Yang family city. This city was extremely grand and magnificent. From afar, it looked like a ferocious beast, and its aura was extraordinary. Ancient and sturdy buildings, 100-meter-wide official roads, powerful warriors coming and going, dazzling shops. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived, they couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The majesty and prosperity of this place were simply unimaginable. When compared to it, the so-called 10 great cities of the Central Territory could only be considered as small and remote cities that had fallen behind the Central Territory. On the official roads, many city guards were patrolling solemnly. They were all Empyrean-level city guards, and they displayed an inviolable aura. The leader was even a martial artist with the cultivation of the mystic Tharch. Only a big city like this would allow the mystic Tharch to be a city guard. If it was in the middle region, all the factions would treat them as grand elders. Ling Xiao and the others walked for half a day, but they had only walked through 1/10 of the city. They also had a preliminary understanding of Yangjiacheng. The group chose a relatively luxurious restaurant and walked in. There were Empyrean martial artists in charge of the restaurants here, and they also provided all kinds of spirit beast meat for the guests to choose from. There were also delicious spirit fruits and jade ores. These things were all good goods that could be taken out to be auctioned in the middle region, but here, they could only be used as food for others. It was no wonder that everyone here was so strong. At this time, Ling Xiao had already kept Sha Tian into the medicine cauldron. He didn't want to be too high profile. It would be too easy to attract attention. A holy emperor might be strong, but in this unfamiliar place, there were still many holy emperors around. It was better to be low-key. Ling Xiao, Yuro Fei, Fengqing Yuan, and Xian Yao had just sat down to eat when a group of people squeezed in from outside the restaurant. As these people entered, there was a small commotion in the restaurant. The leader was a beautiful woman who looked to be around 17 or 18 years old. She had a classic oval face, a pair of eyes that were filled with spring and apricot. Her nose was sharp, and her lips were alluring. Her well-developed figure was outlined vividly by the green silk. Her arms were exposed, and on one of her arms, there were a few beautiful bracelets. Balls of powerful energy were emitted, and it was obvious that these bracelets were extraordinary. There was a middle-aged man and 6 young men following behind her. All of them looked extraordinarily handsome, dressed in luxurious clothes, and had an extraordinary bearing. 7th young lady is here. Your seat has been reserved for you. A heavenly venerable innkeeper greeted the beautiful woman respectfully. This woman was a direct descendant of the Yang clan, and the granddaughter of the current clan leader, Yang Bixiang. She was only 18 years old, but she already had the strength of an earth sovereign. Her cultivation level was extremely high, and she was the focus of the Yang clan's new generation. The middle-aged man following behind her was an elder of the Yang clan, and he was already a half-saint. The other young masters were all young masters of other clans, and they were all at the earth sovereign level. They were all eyeing Yang Bixiang, hoping to capture the heart of this beauty, and then hitch a ride on the Yang clan's ship. Yang Bixiang was like a proud little princess. She raised her beautiful eyes and said in a sweet voice, "Let's follow the old rules. Remember to bring a few jars of 1,000 years green leaf wine." "All right, 7th young lady, please take a seat first. We'll be right there." The innkeeper responded and retreated. Yang Bixiang walked towards her position, and the people behind her followed suit. Yang Bixiang glared at the young men and said with disgust, "What are you all doing? You're so annoying." It wasn't easy for her to leave the clan, and she was being pestered by a few flies. How could she not be annoyed? A young man in blue smiled and said, "Xiang, if you don't like it, then I'll sit to the side and not be an eyesore to you." A strong young man looked at Yang Bixiang and said, "Xiang, you should know my feelings for you. Tell me, what kind of man do you like? I'll do my best to achieve it." "Xiaohan, do you think you're worthy of Xiang? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself?" An arrogant young man sneered disdainfully. The young man called Xiaohan shouted back, "Suzheng, if you have the guts, then say it. Don't think that I'm afraid of you." Suzheng did not look down on him and said, "Come, let's compete today. Whoever loses will leave, and you're not allowed to pester Xiang anymore. What do you think?" "All right, I agree. Otherwise, even Xiang will hate us." Another young man replied. The young men spoke one after another, but none of them made a move. At this moment, Yang Biqing looked in a direction out of boredom, and her beautiful eyes flashed with a few rays of light. She stood up and walked towards a direction. Surprisingly, it was the direction where Ling Xiao and the others were. At this moment, the Yang clan's half-saint stopped in front of Yang Biqing and said, "7th miss, don't go over. I can't see their strength clearly." "Uncle Wang, what are you afraid of? It's not like I'm going over to cause trouble. I'm just trying to make friends with them," Yang Biqing said. Having said that, Yang Biqing avoided the half-step saint and went to the table where Ling Xiao and the others were sitting. She praised, "Two big sisters are really beautiful. I wonder if Biqing can have a drink with you?" Fengqing Yuan was the first to reply. "Since this little sister is in such a good mood, then there's naturally no problem." "Hee hee, Then thank you, big sister. Yang Biqing laughed and sat down on an empty seat. Ling Xiao was a little unhappy, because the moment this girl came over, the other youths also squeezed over. The atmosphere immediately changed, and his appetite also became tasteless. However, he could also tell that the middle-aged man beside the girl had the strength of a half-step saint. Looking at the attitude of the people here towards the girl, she must be someone of status, so it was not good for him to not give her face. Little sister, what's your name? Aren't you afraid that we're bad people? Feng Qingyuan asked Yang Biqing. No matter how I look at it, big sister doesn't look like a bad person. Moreover, this is our Yang family's territory. No one dares to act recklessly. Oh right, my name is Yang Biqing, what's your name? Yang Biqing revealed an innocent expression as she spoke. From time to time, her gaze would glance at Ling Xiao, and her heart would beat a little faster. She thought to herself, he's really handsome, much stronger than those boring fellows. No wonder these two big sisters are willing to follow him. At this time, the young man called Su Zheng looked at Ling Xiao and Xian Yao and said, Hey, the two of you sit on the other side. Don't hinder me. Chapter 1002. In the Yang clan's territory, although they were the only ones, there would still be many powerful subsidiary forces. And the 6 youths that had been pestering Yang Bixiang belonged to the best of the Yang clan's subsidiary forces. Su Zheng was a direct descendant of the Su clan, and it was only with the permission of the clan that he dared to pursue Yang Bixiang. When he saw Yang Bixiang constantly glancing at Ling Xiao, a flame of jealousy rose in his heart. He could not feel any spiritual energy fluctuations from Ling Xiao, and only treated him as an ordinary martial artist. Even if he was an Emperorian or Emperor Xian, there was no difference in his eyes. Moreover, he had also seen Yu Roufei and Feng Qingyuan, these two exquisite beauties. They were even more alluring than Yang Bixiang, this pure and innocent girl. Therefore, if he wanted to chase away these two men in front of him, he might be able to get some peace. Not only Su Zheng, but the other young men were also staring blankly at Yu Roufei and Feng Qingyuan. They couldn't even move their feet, as if they wanted to pounce on these two beauties and ravage them ruthlessly. Ling Xiao raised his eyes to look at Su Zheng, then ignored him and continued to drink. Xian Yao shook the white paper lightly and said, There are still a lot of empty seats over there. If you want to sit, you can do as you please. Su Zheng did not expect the two people in front of him to be so untactful. He immediately revealed a sinister expression and said, Don't be so untactful. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving this place alive. Yang Bixiang immediately said unhappily, Su Zheng, what do you mean? You actually dare to threaten my friend in front of me? Xiang, I'm doing this for your own good. These two people are obviously not good people. Maybe they're spies who want to get close to you and join the Yang clan. Su Zheng said, relying on the fact that this was the Yang clan's territory, and their Su clan's prestige here was not weak. He was not afraid of directly slandering the people in front of him. In any case, if they didn't know what was good for them, then they could just wait to die. After Su Zheng started, another young man behind him echoed, That's right, Xiang, don't be fooled by their appearances. Who knows what they're planning to do to you? Following that, a few other youths also chimed in. Only the young man named Xiao Han did not say anything. It was true that he liked Yang Bixiang, but he would not use such a despicable method to slander others. After all, Yang Bixiang had known him in the past. Have you said enough? If you're done, then scram. Otherwise, I'll throw all of you out of here. Ling Xiao picked his ears and looked at these jealous youths with disdain. This time, the few youths were indignant. They were all descendants of the various great clans here, and they were usually very arrogant. Even the mystic Thearka's martial experts would have to take a detour if they saw them. They did not expect this fellow in front of them to be so arrogant and say such things. Looks like if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know how to write the word death. Su Zheng shouted and raised his hand to wrap around Ling Xiao's face. Pa! A very loud and ear-piercing sound rang out. However, it wasn't Su Zheng who had hit Ling Xiao's face. Su Zheng's face had already been imprinted with a 5-finger mark, and a few of his front teeth had been knocked out. His entire body was sent flying several meters away, crashing into a number of tables and chairs. Everyone present was dumbfounded. They did not expect that the one who hit him would be sent flying by someone else instead of succeeding. I don't care if you guys are fighting for my favor or jealous. In short, don't provoke me. Otherwise, even if the Heavenly King comes, I will still let you guys have a good time. Ling Xiao did not even look at Su Zheng as he raised his wine and took a sip. His appearance was rather cold and unrestrained. Yang Bixiang's eyes lit up as she thought to herself, how manly. You really have guts. You actually dared to hit the Su family's young master here. It seems like you won't be able to leave this place alive. A young man gloated. Pa! Another crisp and ear-piercing sound of a palm strike rang out. The young man who spoke immediately followed in Su Zheng's footsteps. The other four youths all took a few steps back, not daring to approach Ling Xiao, afraid that he would hit them as well. Su Zheng had already crawled up. He covered his face and glared at Ling Xiao angrily as he shouted, "If you have the guts, don't leave. I will definitely make you regret coming to this world." With that, he immediately rushed out of the dining hall. The other young man who was beaten also glared at Ling Xiao with hatred and quickly followed him out. "Xiao, or why are you so impulsive? You've caused trouble this time." Feng Qingyuan rolled his eyes at Ling Xiao and said. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Isn't it all because of the little girl by your side? Let her settle it later." Yang Bixiang was immediately unwilling. She puffed out her chest and said, "Who are you calling a little girl? How am I small?" Ling Xiao glanced at Yang Bixiang's well-developed chest, and immediately coughed lightly. "It was a pure slip of the tongue, all right. I should have said that you are a little sister." After pausing for a moment he continued, "You saw it too, they are looking for trouble for you. If they bring people over later, you will have to take care of them." Although Yang Bixiang was a beauty, in Ling Xiao's eyes, she was just a little girl. He couldn't have the slightest desire to possess her, and spoke with the tone of an elder. "Who do you think you are? I only came here for the sake of the two beautiful sisters. I don't want to interfere in your matters, nor can I." "Who told you to be so ruthless? But it's quite satisfying," Yang Bixiang said with some joy. She wanted to see what methods this man had to settle this matter. One had to know that the people from the Su and Zhou families were not pushovers. Sure enough, as soon as Yang Bixiang's words fell, there was another commotion outside the dining hall. Not many people came in. Other than Su Zheng and another young man, Zhou Ming, who had left and returned, there were 4 middle-aged men. These 4 middle-aged men were impressively at the Mystic Tharch level, and one of them had reached the high-level Mystic Tharch level. Among these 4 people, 2 were elders of the Su family, and the other 2 were elders of the Zhou family. They were Su Zheng and Zhou Ming's guardian elders, and they had been outside the whole time. "It's this brat who injured me, cripple him." Su Zheng pointed at Ling Xiao and shouted angrily. "Cripple him, Taiping Yi. I want him to live a life worse than death." Zhou Ming revealed a sinister expression. As their voices fell, the 4 mystic thearchs behind them walked towards Ling Xiao. However, when they saw Yang Bixiang, they all revealed a look of fear. However, since their young master had already spoken, it should not involve the Yang family. "Brat, come with us. Let us young men deal with you," one of the mystic thearchs said as he reached out to grab Ling Xiao's shoulder. This was a grappling claw technique. It was like an eagle's claw, and it carried a fierce and sharp aura. "Take off your filthy claws." Ling Xiao turned to the side and shouted at the mystic Tharch. This voice was like a sudden clap of thunder, shattering the eardrums of the mystic Tharch, and his body flew out like a cannonball. Bang! He directly smashed into the opposite wall, and he lost consciousness. Everyone present was stunned. Who would have thought that someone could send a mystic Tharch flying with just a shout? What kind of strength was needed to do that? "Go and die." The other person with the mystic Tharch shouted as a high-grade spirit artifact appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Ling Xiao's head. He had already used all his strength, and he wanted to finish off Ling Xiao with one move. Unfortunately, before his all-out attack could land on Ling Xiao's head, it was caught by Ling Xiao's 2 fingers. "Don't think that I don't dare to kill here." Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a murderous intent as he spoke faintly. He exerted strength in his fingers, and the huge saber was snapped into 2. Swish! The broken blade immediately cut off the mystic thearch's hair, and a lock of hair fell down, scaring the mystic Tharch so much that his legs went soft. It was true that he was Su Zhang's protector elder, but he did not want to die for no reason. The other two mystic Thearchs did not dare to make a move. They did not need to guess to know that the other party was probably a sage. Even if there were more than 10 of them, they would not be a match for him. When Su Zhang and Zhou Ming saw this scene, their bodies and minds went cold. This time they had kicked a steel plate. However, even if the young man before them was a sage, he might not dare to kill them. Otherwise, the members of their clans would not let him off. Why aren't all of you leaving? What a disgrace. Yang Bixiang berated the young men. The young men knew that it was difficult to regain face in a short period of time, so they could only leave helplessly. However, Su Zhang and Zhou Ming's eyes were filled with indescribable resentment and unwillingness. On the other hand, the mystic Thearchs hurriedly left the dining hall. Let's go. I'm afraid that trouble will come knocking on our door one after another. Feng Qingyuan suggested. She was experienced and knowledgeable. The disciples of these powers always thought that they were the pride of the heavens, and had never suffered any setbacks. Now that they had been humiliated by Ling Xiao, they would definitely not let the matter rest. Before Ling Xiao could speak, Yang Bixiang spoke from the side. Big sister, don't be anxious. With me here, they won't dare to do anything to you. For some reason, when she saw these two beautiful sisters, she couldn't help but get close to them. At the same time, she became slightly infatuated with Ling Xiao. What she liked was this kind of handsome and domineering man. Moreover, from the looks of it, he was definitely an extremely powerful existence. He was much stronger than the little brat she had followed and grew up under her father's shadow. He was the ideal Prince Charming in her dreams. Little sister, you should leave us obediently. If you don't leave, we'll be in even more trouble. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes at Yang Bixiang. Yang Bixiang was infuriated. Normally, many men would come to curry favor with her. Why did this person want to chase them away? She said angrily. This is our Yang family's territory. With me here, no one dares to bully you. It was just an accident. Just as Ling Xiao wanted to say something, Feng Qingyuan spoke again. Shower, don't be so fragrant. Aren't we going to buy some sacred objects? Isn't it better to have Xiang Xiang as our guide? That's right, no one is more familiar with this place than me. Yang Bixiang clapped her hands excitedly. Chapter 1003. Yang Bixiang circled around Ling Xiao and the others like a lark, chirping nonstop. She kept introducing the various specialties of Yang Family City, as well as the distribution of the various shops. As she spoke, she would occasionally sneak a peek at Ling Xiao, her heart beating nonstop, and her face flushed red from time to time. Feng Qingyuan was an experienced person. She had a lot of experience, so of course she could sense Yang Bixiang's strangeness. She thought to herself, Shower is really popular with girls. To think that even a little sister like her is infatuated with him. She's not much worse than Big Brother Evil Emperor back then. This was something that couldn't be helped. Ling Zhao's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds ever since he started cultivating. Now that he had reached the peak of the low-level Saint realm, he still maintained his handsome appearance of a young man in his early 20s. Furthermore, his appearance would always be maintained, coupled with his holy aura and the aura of an emperor that had always been in a high position. Although he had restrained it, it still gave off a feeling of worship. Along the way, Ling Xiao did not feel that Yang Bixiang was annoying. She was not scheming, and was rather innocent. He felt that she was a rather cute little sister. It was just that Ling Xiao was preoccupied with other matters, so he did not have the mood to chat. As they walked, Ling Xiao discovered that there were many tales, and among them were the auras of two saints. They did not reveal any hostility, but they did not leave Yang Bixiang's side. It was obvious that they were secretly maintaining Yang Bixiang's saint realm. The Yang family is indeed worthy of being a great power in the heavenly domain stronghold. They even sent out a saint as a guard. Ling Xiao sighed in his heart. We're here. This is the largest shop in our Yang family city. There are all sorts of high-grade spirit treasures and even saint treasures inside. As long as you have enough Xian crystal, it won't be a problem to trade. Yang Bixiang brought Ling Xiao and the rest to a shop called Spirit Medicine Pavilion, and said, This shop occupied the largest area in the vicinity. There were a total of 6 entrances, and there were a lot of warriors squeezing in. It could be seen that the sales volume was huge. Ling Xiao and the rest followed Yang Bixiang in. There were all kinds of high-grade spirit herbs, high-grade beast cores, and some strange things on the display cabinets. "Seventh young mistress, you're here." A mystic varch middle-aged man walked out and greeted Yang Bixiang respectfully. "Well, I've brought a few friends over to have a look. You can go and do your own things." Yang Bixiang waved her hand in a very imposing manner, then turned around and said, "Let's go upstairs, these are just ordinary goods." The second floor was dedicated to selling elixirs, while the third floor was a combination of spirit herbs and elixirs. However, the grade of the elixirs and elixirs on the third floor were higher than those on the first 2 floors. Only spirit herbs and elixirs of the 7th rank or above could be displayed here. Ling Xiao and the rest were dumbfounded when they saw the spiritual herbs and elixirs here, because these things were extremely difficult to find in the Central Territory. Yet they were as obvious as ordinary goods here. For example, mid-level 7 7-star golden vine, high-level 7 red purple blue flower, top-grade 7th grade Mystic Emperor pill, 7th grade bone replenishing regeneration pill. As expected of the place closest to the heaven realm, these spirit flowers and herbs are so easy to see, and 7th grade medicinal pills are not rare either. Ling Xiao could not help but sigh. Yang Bixiang saw that it was rare for Ling Xiao to speak, so she immediately asked with a smile, "Aren't you guys from the stronghold? Could it be that you came down from the heavenly region?" Ling Xiao shook his head lightly. "We came from an even more backward place." "Liar, you're so powerful. How could you come from a backward place? Have you been cultivating in some other place where there are few people?" Yang Bixiang said in disbelief. Ling Xiao smiled but did not explain. On the other hand, Feng Qingyuan said from the side, "We are people from another continent, and we are preparing to head to the heaven realm." "Another? A person from another continent? It can't be that barbarian land, right?" Yang Bixiang revealed a surprised expression and exclaimed. "What barbarian land?" Feng Qingyuan asked in confusion. Yang Bixiang pointed in a direction and said, "There are records in the ancient books that there are many barbarians who have been isolated outside of the heaven realm. They are said to be the first people to be abandoned for millions of years. They are rough, barbaric, and have low intelligence." Before she could finish speaking, she felt the unfriendly gazes of a few people, and the words that were about to come out of her mouth were held back. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Maybe it's the truth. We also went through a lot of hardships to get here. You can be considered the first friend we came into contact with. If you think our status is low, then please do as you please." If it was anyone else who was called a barbarian or a mentally retarded person, they would feel uncomfortable. Yang Bixiang immediately felt wronged, and tears almost flowed down her cheeks. Feng Qingyuan hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Xiangxiang probably didn't mean that. She was just following the records in the ancient books. "That's right, it's not like I said anything bad about you guys," Yang Bixiang said in a fit of pique. This was the first time she had suffered such a huge grievance in her life. "Fraud, let's take a look around and see if there are any spirit herbs that are suitable for you." Ling Xiao changed the topic and said to Xianyao, "And I naturally can't let go of good things." Xianyao rubbed his hands and said, he was only at the middle stage of the Mystic Emperor realm. If he wanted to go further, he naturally had to work hard. The 7th level spirit herbs here were of great use to him, but he didn't know if he could find any light attribute spirit herbs. After walking around, Xianyao was overjoyed. He thought that light attribute spirit grasses were difficult to find, but there were many that he needed here. This was enough for him to speed up his cultivation. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate and immediately took out Xian crystals to buy all the light attribute spirit herbs. The price was originally more expensive than other spirit herbs of the same level, but with Yang Bixiang around, the price was directly reduced by more than half. "Little sister, brother's words were too heavy just now. Don't take it to heart." Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment, but still said to this little girl with a yawn. Yang Bixiang revealed a victorious smile and said, "I'm not as petty as you." "Are there any higher level spirit items?" Eurofei asked. Seeing that Xian Yao had found a lot of 7th-level spirit herbs, she was also extremely thirsty to find 8th or even 9th-level holy items, so that her strength could improve further. Of course, all the holy items above are 8th level and above. Ordinary people can't go up without a VIP card, but with this young lady here, you don't have to worry, Yang Bixiang said straightforwardly. Then I'll have to trouble Xiangxiang. After we buy the holy items, I'll definitely get Xiao, or to give you some good things. Feng Qingyuan laughed and teased. He who wants it? Yang Bixiang laughed shyly. As the 7th young lady of the Yang family, she usually didn't have anything she wanted, but in her heart, she still hoped that Ling Xiao could express something. When everyone went up to the 4th floor, they found that it was extremely quiet. There weren't many people here, and the decorations were also a lot less. The first thing Ling Xiao saw was a huge bonsai stone placed in the center of the pavilion. It was in the shape of a human, and its entire body was dark green. It emitted waves of aura that made people feel relaxed and comfortable when they approached it. This is at least a 50,000-year-old spirit calming jade. This is a treasure that can condense all kinds of spiritual energy and origin energy. It's actually placed here? Ling Zhao's eyes lit up as he exclaimed. Yang Bixiang explained with a smile. These are all extremely precious saint treasures. Naturally, there is a need for this kind of gentle saint treasure to gather all kinds of pure energy to maintain the vitality of all the saint treasures. However, in the entire Yang family city, only we have a piece of spirit-calming jade here. Ling Xiao and the rest began to look around at the things here, and their eyes began to burn with passion. This was because every single spirit herb here was above the 8th level, and they were all sacred objects that were hard to find even with 1,000 crystals. Let's see if there are any holy items that are suitable for you. However, the prices here are quite expensive, so I can only ask them to give you a 20% discount. Yang Bixiang stuck out her tongue and put on a cute face as she said this. That's right. Ling Xiao and the others nodded in agreement, their faces filled with gratitude. If it wasn't for Yang Bixiang leading the way, they wouldn't have arrived here so quickly, and they might not even have been able to enter. This is a middle stage 8 green wind fruit and a high stage 8 wind floating flower. When Feng Qingyuan saw the 2 stage 8 wind attribute spirit herbs, she couldn't help but exclaim softly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with joy. Mistress, don't be too excited. There are still a lot of good things over there. Take your time to take a look. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Although there were a lot of hidden goods here, compared to the ones in Ling Xiao's medicinal cauldron, it was still far from enough. It was just that Ling Xiao was unable to use the spirit herbs inside as he pleased. This had always been a matter that made him depressed. At this time, Eurofei also discovered a lot of stage 8 light attribute spirit herbs. However, these spirit herbs were still not enough for her to break through to the Holy Emperor realm. She had to have stage 9 spirit herbs. Although these spirit herbs weren't of much use to Eurofei, they were still sacred objects that were hard to come by for the Xian Yao Empress. Ling Xiao couldn't help but choose a lot of stage 8 spirit herbs. Other than the wind and light attributes, he also bought a lot of other attributes. When Yang Bixiang saw that Ling Xiao had chosen so many spirit herbs, she was immediately tongue-tied. She was worried that Ling Xiao didn't have enough Xian crystals to buy these spirit herbs. Xiao, do you have enough Xian crystals to buy so many? We still need to leave some for our daily expenses. Feng Qingyuan said worriedly. When she was in the central region, she was also the leader of the Feng family. Naturally, she had a lot of Xian crystals in her spatial ring. However, she felt that it wasn't enough to buy so many spirit herbs at once. That was because each spirit herb was at a sky-high price. To buy more than 100 of them at once, one could imagine how huge the amount needed was. I still have a lot of Xian crystals here. Eurofei said from the side. She was the deputy sect leader of the Holy Yin cult and also a peak saint. Naturally, her collection over the years was quite abundant. Don't worry, don't forget that I have another identity. I can still afford this amount of Xian crystals. Ling Xiao touched his nose and said. Then he asked all the attendants to bring the spirit herbs to the cashier to settle the bill. The manager in charge of collecting the Xian crystals was also surprised when he saw Ling Xiao and the others buy so many spirit herbs at once. "Uncle Wan, these are my friends. You have to give them a discount," Yang Bixiang said to the manager. Chapter 1004. This steward had the strength of a high-level Xian emperor. He had long noticed Ling Xiao and the others. They must have been brought here by their seventh miss, so he had to pay special attention to them. Now that he saw them sweep through so many spirit herbs, he couldn't help but pay attention to them. The steward smiled respectfully and said, "Seventh miss, I know what to do. This is the biggest business our medicine spirit pavilion has had recently, so we will naturally give you a discount." After some calculations, these spirit herbs cost a total of more than 500 million high-grade profound crystals. Even the fourth-grade forces would find it difficult to take out this amount of money, and even the third-grade forces would feel a lot of pressure if they wanted to take it out. But who was Ling Xiao? He had been accumulating money ever since he started his career, and he had even excavated a top-grade crystal mine. After he established the Smiling Palace, most of the elixirs sold in the auction were sold by him, and most of the income went into his pocket. It was impossible for him not to be rich. However, before he left, he also left behind a lot of profound crystals for his woman and the palace to use. After taking out 500 million high-grade profound crystals, his profound crystals immediately shrank. However, with his identity, it was not difficult to earn profound crystals. After all, an alchemist was a wealthy profession. In addition, when he passed through the 9 spatial checkpoints, he had also obtained a large number of top-grade fire profound crystals. That value was not inferior to these spirit herbs at all. Since it's seventh Mrs. Friend, then this old man will take 480 million high-grade profound crystals. The steward stated the total amount he wanted to collect and directly reduced the price by 30 to 40 million. It was considered fair. Just as Ling Xiao was about to pay the profound crystals, Yang Bixiang spoke again. 450 million, such a big business. If we don't give them a discount, how would they dare to come next time? Oh, my lady, this is a family business. If you can earn a little more, why not? You're actually helping outsiders cut the price. The steward felt his heart ache. He didn't care about going against Yang Bixiang's wishes. After hesitating for a moment, he agreed. After Ling Xiao paid the profound crystals, Yang Bixiang's beautiful eyes shone with a bright light. She never thought that Ling Xiao would be so rich. To be able to casually spend more than 400 million profound crystals. Even a young miss like her felt that it was inconceivable. She felt that Ling Xiao was becoming more and more charming. Not only was he handsome, but he was also powerful and had a huge fortune. Wasn't this the ideal man in any girl's heart? Ling Xiao kept most of the spirit herbs and then gave the wind and light attribute spirit herbs to Fengqing Yuan and Xian Yao. Ling Xiao looked at the disappointed Eurofei and comforted her. "Don't worry, I think the dignified Yang family will not only have such a small collection, they will not take out the real good things to look at others." Then he turned to Yang Bixiang and asked, "Little girl, you should have better things here, right? Take us to see." Yang Bixiang revealed a troubled expression and said, "There are still some sacred objects, but I don't have the authority to bring you guys up to see." Just as Ling Xiao was about to say something, a loud and clear voice called out, "Xiang Xiang is here, yet you didn't greet Third Master. Do you not remember Third Master, this old man?" An old man in his 50s walked down from upstairs. In reality, this old man was already thousands of years old. It was just that he was extremely energetic and did not look particularly old. His strength had already reached the peak of the middle stage Saint Realm. Third Grandpa. When Yang Bixiang saw the person, she cried out in alarm and ran towards the old man like a swallow. Yang Ke smiled as he caressed Yang Bixiang's hair. "You little girl, how come you have the time to bring your friends here today?" As he spoke, he looked towards Ling Xiao and the others, his eyes flashing with a bright light. "I just met a few friends. They said they wanted to buy spirit herbs, so I brought them here to patronize our family's business." Yang Bixiang explained. "Hee hee, you little girl, you know how to do business, but your friends are not simple. Even I can't see through them." Yang Ke smiled faintly. "Don't worry, Third Grandpa, they won't harm me. Just now, They bought a few 100 million worth of spirit herbs here, Yang Bixiang said with a bit of a flaunt. Making a business worth hundreds of millions in one go was a big deal that was rare even in auctions. Then, Yang Bixiang acted as the middleman and introduced Ling Xiao and the others to Yang Ke. Alright, third grandpa. They want to go up and have a look? I wonder if that's okay? Yang Bixiang said to Yang Ke cautiously. It seemed that she was afraid that her third grandpa would be angry. Yang Ke frowned slightly and said, You should know that only holy elders with status can enter. Don't talk to me about this next time. All of the things on the top were the best of the holy objects, and there were not many collections. Moreover, this matter was of great importance, so Mo Sheng and the others were absolutely not allowed to enter. Even the direct descendants of the younger generation of the Yang family could not go up easily. Yang Bixiang felt a little wronged and said, I know, third grandpa. Yang Ke didn't want to blame Yang Bixiang too much. He immediately smiled and said, You must have bought what you needed. Xiang, this child, will not accompany you. She will stay here and talk to this old man. In addition, I will ask someone to make a VIP card for you. You can buy in our Yang family's industry at a discount. After saying that, he ignored Ling Xiao and the others and pulled Yang Bixiang upstairs. At this time Ling Xiao suddenly said, Elder Yang, please wait, I have something to show you. With that, a bottle of pure white liquid appeared in his hand. He opened the bottle cap, and a wave of pure and vast energy instantly permeated the pavilion. At this time, there were a few hidden auras in the pavilion fluctuating a few times. Ling Xiao closed the bottle cap again, and looked at Yang Ke casually. Yang Ke's beard instantly rose high, and his old eyes exuded a strong sense of greed. Good thing, this is definitely a good thing. Little friend Ling Xiao, can you tell me what kind of holy liquid this is? Ling Xiao said with a smile. 10,000 years geocentric spring. This time, Yang Ke's expression became even more praiseworthy. He instantly appeared in front of Ling Xiao and said, Can you buy it for me? Ling Xiao didn't expect Yang Ke to have such a big reaction. He instantly took 2 steps back and looked at Yang Ke vigilantly. Yang Ke awkwardly rubbed his hands and said with a smile, That little friend Ling Xiao, this old man was just excited for a moment. Ling Xiao nodded slightly and said, It doesn't matter. If Elder Yang needs this 10,000 years geocentric spring, I have no reason to refuse, but I have a friend who is also in urgent need of a light attribute holy object to break through. If your pavilion has a holy object of the same level to trade, it is not impossible. A holy object of the light attribute. Isn't it enough that there are so many 8th grade spiritual herbs here? Could it be that you want an 8th grade holy pill? Yang Ke asked. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, We need a holy object of the light attribute. The rest are all useless. Could it be? I have to go up and take a look. Xiang, you stay here with your friends and take some spiritual fruits to fill their stomachs. I will come down in a while. Yang Ke suspected that someone among Ling Xiao and the others was going to suddenly become the holy emperor. Otherwise, why would they need to use a holy object of the origin? However, he didn't say it out loud. He just gave some instructions and hurried back upstairs. Yang Bixiang was stunned for a moment before she laughed and said, Haha, this is the first time I've seen third grandpa so excited. Let's go, I'll take you guys over there to sit and eat some spirit fruits and rest. Third grandpa might not be able to come down for a while. Sure enough, it took Yang Ke half an hour to come down. There was another old man coming down with him. This old man had reached the strength of a high-level saint, causing Ling Xiao and the others to have no choice but to face the Yang family's strength seriously. When Yang Bixiang saw the other old man, she immediately stepped forward and obediently called out, Greetings, Grandpa Song. Song Pei was the holy elder in charge of the spirit medicine pavilion. He was the holy elder of the Yang family, and had a high status in the Yang family. Song Pei laughed and said, Xiang, I heard that you brought a few interesting friends to your third grandpa. They must be these few. Following that, Yang Bixiang once again introduced the place to them. Yang Ke said impatiently, Old Song, hurry up and take out your 1,000-year lunar treasure holy light to exchange for that 10,000-year geocentric spring water. I'll think of a way to make it up to you later. This is a good thing that I've treasured for 1,000 years. If it's just a small bottle of 10,000-year geocentric spring water, I'm afraid it won't be enough. Song Pei's words were obviously meant for Ling Xiao and the others to hear. However, there was a transparent vessel in his hand. The vessel seemed to be filled with a gentle power like moonlight. It looked extremely pure and vast. Lunar treasure, holy light. Eurofei's delicate face revealed a look of joy as she said. The lunar treasure holy light was a type of pure light attribute, origin energy. It was said that it was condensed from a few strands of origin energy separated from the moon. This kind of holy object could only be found in special places, and was simply difficult to find in the world. Apart from helping a saint break through, it could also greatly reduce the chances of a saint or holy emperor breaking through a bottleneck. Its value was indeed above that of the 10,000-year geocentric spring water. If Eurofei could obtain this origin energy, she would definitely be able to break through to the holy emperor realm without a problem. Yang Ke looked at Ling Xiao and said, "That's right. Little friend, you should know that this light attribute origin energy is not easy to find. Do you have any other good things? It would be best if it's a water attribute holy object. If you have any more, we'll exchange." At this moment, Eurofei couldn't help but tighten her grip on Ling Xiao's hand. It was obvious that she was extremely eager for the lunar treasure holy light. Ling Xiao patted the back of her hand to calm her down. He immediately said to Song Pei, "Elder Song, may I know what element you cultivate?" Song Pei didn't even think before saying, "This old man cultivates the metal element. Little friend, why do you have other holy objects?" Ling Xiao revealed a faint smile as a ball of golden light appeared in his hand. "I wonder if Elder Song knows what this is?" "Metal. Metal Genesis Chi." Song Pei couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Elder Song is indeed knowledgeable. If I exchange this Metal Genesis Chi for the 10,000-year geocentric spring water, would it be enough? If not, then I have no other choice, Ling Xiao said. Chapter 1005. It's enough, it's enough. But is that all you have? Song Pei nodded repeatedly. Ling Xiao replied, "Of course, this is a bit of origin energy that I risked my life to obtain. You also know that it's not easy to find. Old Song, you've earned a lot. Quickly take out the lunar treasure sacred light," Yang Ke urged. "That's true. Any kind of origin energy is not easy to find in the fortress." Song Pei sighed and took out the lunar treasure sacred light and handed it to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao handed over the golden origin energy and the 10,000-year geocentric spring water. Ling Xiao naturally only took out a small portion of the golden origin energy and the 10,000-year geocentric spring water. He still kept the rest. These two things were extremely precious and could not be taken out. After successfully exchanging for the lunar treasure sacred light, Ling Xiao handed it over to Eurofei. At this time, Yang Ke also kept the 10,000-year geocentric spring water and asked Ling Xiao and the others, "May I know where you are from? And where are you planning to go?" This time, Ling Xiao learned his lesson and did not say that he came from a continent in another dimension. Instead, he said that he came from a relatively remote place, and that he was planning to participate in this year's path to heaven. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, Yang Ke's wariness towards them was greatly reduced. He was really afraid that these people were hidden enemies who wanted to get close to Yang Bixiang and fish for some benefits. "All right, we have everything we want. It's time for us to leave. We won't disturb the two of you anymore." Ling Xiao saw that it was about time and immediately suggested to leave. The most important task now was to let Eurofei suddenly enter the Holy Emperor realm. That way, they would be able to go to the formation of heaven without any mishaps. When Yang Bixiang heard that Ling Xiao and the others were about to leave, her expression became a little anxious. "Sisters, accompany me to play for a few more days. Why are you in such a hurry to leave?" Yang Bixiang pulled Feng Qingyuan's hand and said coquettishly. "Xiang, it's not that big sisters don't want to accompany you, but we still have a lot of things to do. We'll come and play with you again in a few days, okay?" Feng Qingyuan said to Yang Bixiang as if she was coaxing a child. Indeed, in the eyes of Feng Qingyuan and the rest, Yang Bixiang was really a child. "This is for you. Consider it a reward for helping us." Ling Xiao took out a drop of the 10,000-year tree sap and handed it to young Bixiang. What is this? Young Bixiang asked with some joy. 10,000-year tree sap. Ling Xiao replied. At this moment, the gazes of Yang Ku and Song Pei on the side became a little anxious again. They knew that this was also a kind of holy object. Xiang quickly accept it. This is a good thing. Yang Ku immediately said to Yang Bixiang. Origin holy objects were extremely rare. Even a great force like the Yang family might not be able to easily take them out and give them away. At this time, Yang Ku and Song Pei were curious about Ling Xiao's identity. Where did this monster come from to have such a rich collection? Yang Bixiang responded softly and put it away. However, her expression still could not hide the disappointment of Ling Xiao and the others leaving. Oh right, little friend Ling Xiao, you said that you want to go to the heaven region? Yang Ke asked. Ling Xiao nodded and said, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. I hope I can succeed this time. If that's the case, why don't you stay behind? Every year, there are people from our Yang family who attack the path to heaven. When the time comes, you can go with them. Maybe you can take care of them. That would be better. Yang Ke hesitated for a moment and suggested. He knew that Ling Xiao and the others were extraordinary. If they could be roped into the Yang family's camp, it would also be beneficial. However, he was also a little concerned about the unknown identity of Ling Xiao and the others. Yes, our Yang family sends people to the path to heaven every year. It's best if you stay behind. Yang Bixiang agreed. How could Ling Xiao not see Yang Ke's hesitant expression? He immediately said, We rushed here to be able to go to the path to heaven as soon as possible. Our strength is still not enough, so we want to take advantage of this time to increase our strength first. When the path to heaven opens, it won't be too late to hitch a ride with you. Since you already have a plan, then we won't force you. If you have any good things in the future, remember to let us know. Yang Ku replied. Ling Xiao responded and then left the medicine pavilion with Yuro Fei, Feng Qingyuan, and Xian Yao. In the end, Yang Bixiang still could not persuade Ling Xiao and the others to stay. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears. Yang Ke patted her shoulder lightly and said, Silly child, don't be fooled by their young age. They are actually at the sage realm. They are at least 1,000-years-old monsters. They can even be your grandparents. You should find a few children of the same age to play with. Yang Bixiang was a little stubborn. What does it matter? They only look like they are in their 20s or 30s. Alright, let's not talk about age. Let's talk about strength. They're people who dared to challenge the heavenly passage formation. If they succeed, they'll go to the heaven domain. You're just like them. They definitely won't remember you in the future, said Yang Ku as he pulled her back into the spirit medicine pavilion. Yang Bixiang pursed her lips and finally revealed a resolute expression. I also want to go to the heaven domain in the future. After Ling Xiao and the others obtained what they needed, they immediately left the Yang family city. If Yuro Fei wanted to break through to the Holy Emperor realm, it would cause a huge commotion. They had to find a place with few people to prevent others from disturbing them. However, just as they left the city, they immediately felt that someone had locked onto them from behind. They're really brazenly following us. Ling Xiao sighed softly. Yuro Fei said, Could it be someone from the Yang family? Feng Qingyuan said, It shouldn't be. It might be someone from the other two families. No matter who it is, let's just make sure they don't return. Let's lure them out first. Ling Xiao sneered, kept Xian Yao into the medicinal cauldron, and sped towards the mountain range in the distance. Yuro Fei and Feng Qingyuan hurriedly followed behind. One of the people following behind whispered, They might have discovered us. The other person replied, So what if they found out? Can they escape from our palms? Chase after them. These people's speed was extremely fast. They tore through space and teleported away. It was obvious that they were peerless experts of the Saint Realm. Not long after, Ling Xiao and the other two were surrounded by 4 people in the sky above a mountain range outside the Yang family city. Run! Why aren't you running anymore? You outsiders actually dare to bully our Su family? You're really tired of living. A middle-stage saint looked at Ling Xiao and the others with a sinister expression and laughed. Another saint sneered, That's right, you even dared to hit the children of our Zhou family. Do you really think that we old farts won't dare to kill you? You talk too much nonsense. Yuro, do it. Don't make too much of a commotion. Ling Xiao said in disdain. A mirror had already appeared in Yuro Fei's hand. The mirror flickered repeatedly, and rays of dazzling light shot out. The strongest peak middle stage saint was instantly frozen in place. The other 3 saints were shocked, and they all took out their saint weapons to attack Yuro Fei. Unfortunately, with Yuro Fei's strength, before they could attack, the mirror flashed again, and the 3 saints were frozen in place again. The 4 of them revealed expressions of extreme shock. They had not expected this peerless beauty to have such extraordinary methods. The mirror in her hand was definitely a divine weapon. 4 great saints have come out to kill us. How generous. Don't worry, you won't be able to go back once you come out. Ling Xiao said faintly with a sinister expression. No, there's nothing to say. We are subordinate saint elders of the Yang family. You can't kill us. One of the saints said anxiously. You should save those words for your next life. Ling Xiao said coldly, and a long sword appeared in his hand. The long sword slashed through the sky, and blood splattered on the spot. The 4 saints knew that they could not protect their bodies. The moment Ling Xiao made his move, their souls instantly left their bodies in an attempt to give them a chance to be reborn. How could Ling Xiao give them this chance? His soul doppelganger instantly left his body, and captured their souls one by one. He absorbed and digested them as mental energy. The soul force of the 4 great saints was also quite huge, but to the current Ling Xiao, his sea of consciousness had expanded by who knew how many times. This bit of soul force was not enough to satisfy him. He was no longer afraid of the impurities in the mental fluid. As long as he tempered it with heavenly lightning in the future, he could purify it. Leave this place at full speed. After Ling Xiao absorbed the souls, he immediately shouted at Yuro Fei and Feng Qingyuan. He summoned the lion-tiger beast and began to escape at full speed. The death of 4 saints at once would definitely be noticed by someone in the Yang family's city. If they did not escape, it would not be easy to deal with them if they sent more people out. As expected, after Ling Xiao and the others fled at full speed for about 15 minutes, 3 high-level saints immediately appeared in the sky above the mountain range. Among the 3 of them, one of them was actually Song Pei from the medicine pavilion. Their auras have disappeared. Are they all dead? The blue-robed elder beside Song Pei frowned and said faintly. Another black-robed elder said, "The smell of blood has not dissipated. They are all dead. I really don't know what's wrong with you. You actually went to deal with them for the sake of the younger generation. You really don't know your limits." Song Pei glared at the 2 of them and said, "Brother Song, they are just a few outsiders. Is there a need to stand up for them?" The blue-robed elder said with some displeasure. Song Pei said, "How can someone who can casually take out a few origin holy artifacts be an ordinary person? Moreover, looking at how they were able to maintain their youthful appearance and reach the saint realm, and even dare to attack the heavenly array, how could they be good people? The fact that we didn't take the lives of the juniors of your 2 families during the meal already proves that they don't want to cause trouble. But you guys, if you let them become hostile towards our Yang family, I'm afraid that there will be a few more terrifying enemies on the heavenly array. This is not worth it." The black-robed elder hesitated for a moment and said, "We were a little muddle-headed. However, they killed our people. Are we just going to let it go like that? If you don't find trouble with them, will they kill your people? You better know your place." Song Pei said in a bad mood. Without looking back, he left and returned to the city. Chapter 1006. In a desolate forest, Ling Xiao and his group stopped. "They're not chasing us anymore," Feng Qingyuan said as he looked in a direction. "It's better if they catch up. Just leave them here," Ling Xiao said confidently. As long as the other party didn't have the Holy Emperor, no matter how many people came, Ling Xiao and the rest weren't afraid. "Looks like we can't return to Yang Family City anymore," Feng Qingyuan said again. Regardless of whether the Yang family had participated in the operation to kill them or not, the 4 saints should be from the Yang family's subsidiary families. If they were to enter the Yang family city again, They would undoubtedly be giving themselves up to be captured and killed. Let's talk about it later. Let's wait for Ro Fei to make a move first, Ling Xiao said. Facing these forces that could easily kill people, the fighting spirit in Ling Xiao's heart gradually rose. Speaking of which, you ate Ro Fei the moment you left the Xianling continent. You're really something, Feng Qingyuan said to Ling Xiao out of boredom. Ling Xiao laughed dryly and said, "This. How can you say that I ate her? Mistress, you should say that Shower was eaten by her. Don't you realize that Shower is in high demand?" Feng Qingyuan glared at Ling Xiao and said, "Can your skin be any thicker?" After pausing for a moment, she continued, "But you're right. That girl, Xiang, has already been bewitched by you. If you were to become the Yang family's son-in-law, this show would probably work." Ling Xiao chuckled. "In terms of age, she is younger than Tianer. She can be my granddaughter. Shower is not an old cow who eats young grass." Feng Qingyuan's beautiful eyes were filled with boundless yearning as she sighed. "I wonder where your master is now. He must be like you, flirting everywhere." Ling Xiao replied, "Mistress, do you not have confidence in yourself?" Feng Qingyuan said, "Can I have confidence? I'm afraid that everyone in the heaven region is stronger than a saint, so there's definitely no lack of beauties. He doesn't lack beauties by his side, but the gap between me and your master is too great. I'm afraid that even if I find your master, I won't have any status." Ling Xiao had some doubts in his heart. Master's appearance is already showing signs of age. His charm index shouldn't be that strong anymore, right? Ling Xiao had interacted with the evil emperor for a year, and the evil emperor looked to be in his 50s, no longer looking young. He really did not believe that his master still had the ability to attract butterflies. "Don't worry, mistress. With your current situation, you'll be able to advance another level very soon. Moreover, with the wind-steadying stone, advancing is only a matter of time. Moreover, with Shower around, how can mistress stay at the same spot?" Ling Xiao comforted Feng Qingyuan. Feng Qingyuan raised his spirits and said, "And I don't know if I can find him when I reach the heaven realm. I'll raise my strength first." In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, all of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had been swept away, and it even contained traces of the origin energy of the heaven and earth. Strange phenomena began to appear. Waves of gentle light suddenly appeared like a dazzling rainbow. These lights were filled with gentle and vast energy, making people feel as if they were bathing in a hot spring. It was an extremely wonderful feeling. The flowers and trees in the vicinity began to show some abnormalities. They were actually growing slowly. The delicate flowers were stunning, and the grass and trees were green. Eurofei had also successfully broken through to the Holy Emperor realm. Her entire aura had risen by another level, and her entire body was surrounded by layers of holy radiance. She was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world, making people feel that the holy god could not be offended. Now that Ling Xiao had two holy emperors by his side, he had enough power to protect himself in the heavenly domain stronghold. There were still 4 months before the trip to the heavenly domain stronghold, which was enough for Eurofei to stabilize her realm, and Feng Qingyuan had to level up before that. With the wind stabilizing stone, she could speed up the absorption of the pure wind attribute energy. She had also bought a lot of high-level wind attribute spirit herbs from the medicine pavilion. As long as she had time to absorb and digest the energy, everything would not be a problem. As for Ling Xiao, he also increased his accumulation of energy. He had the qualifications to break through to the next stage, but he wanted to compress it a little more. It was fine if he didn't break through, but once he did, he wanted to achieve the most satisfactory result. Feng Qingyuan used all sorts of high-level holy objects, and the help of the wind-stabilizing stone. After nearly 3 months, she finally broke through to the realm of a high-level saint. In addition to her being a wind-speed warrior, her speed had also increased explosively, and there were very few people of the same level who could catch up to her. For the past few days, Ling Xiao had only absorbed the energy step by step, and occasionally cultivated a profound skill to make his moves more perfect and natural. At the same time, he had completely digested the soul power of the 4 saints that he had absorbed. His mental power had increased by quite a bit, But at this stage, mental power attacks would not be very effective against saints. This was because saints knew how to use the power of space, and could completely sense the existence of mental power attacks, and it would be easy to defend against them. This kind of shadowless and formless attack was no longer very useful, but it could still be used to control people. Ling Xiao only hoped that one day, he would be able to encounter the other third of the God-controlling art. At that time, he would be able to cultivate the God-controlling art to the mastery stage, and even the gods would be able to control them. However, wanting to find the other third was undoubtedly like looking for a needle in a haystack. It was too unrealistic, unless he had that kind of opportunity. Fortunately, with the large amount of soul power, he could have an extra clone to fight, which could be considered another kind of compensation. After everything was settled, Ling Xiao and the others prepared to set off again. The Tongtian array was not in the territory of the four major forces, but in the center of the four major forces in a free territory, which was called the Tongtian battlefield. Only the first 100 people who could reach the top within the time limit could go to the heaven domain. Ling Xiao and the others thought about it again and again, but still decided not to enter the Yang family city to go to the Tongtian array. Who knew if there was someone waiting for them to fall into the trap? However, other than the Yang family city, if they wanted to find a second city to go to the Tongtian array, they would undoubtedly need to take a long detour. Half a month later, after Ling Xiao and the others grinded through a few places, they finally arrived at a city that could directly lead to the Tongtian array, which made them overjoyed. As long as they reached the Tongtian array and waited for it to open, it would be the time to go to the heaven domain. However, accidents always happened at the most crucial time. Ling Xiao was actually on the bounty list. The so-called bounty list could also be said to be a wanted list. Whoever could take Ling Xiao's head would be rewarded with a bottle of spring liquid of life and 50 million high-grade mystic crystals. This mission had long been ignored, but there were rumors that Ling Xiao had been seen in the Yang family city, and the person who tried to kill Ling Xiao had already died a violent death. When the ghastly Drake sect heard this news, they immediately announced Ling Xiao's portrait in all the cities. They had to capture and kill Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao originally did not know about this, but before he entered the city, he was immediately chased by unknown people. Fortunately, these people were only at the mystic Thearka's strength and did not pose much of a threat to him. They were all killed one by one. After Ling Xiao controlled one of them, he then found out about the cause and effect. He did not expect that he had just arrived at the Heaven Domain stronghold, but the news had already spread so far. It seemed like the people from the ghastly Drake sect were also looking for his whereabouts. He was suspecting that the news was spread by the subsidiary forces of the Yang family city, but it did not matter who spread it. The most important thing was how to solve this problem. Damn it, I just arrived at the Heavenly Region stronghold, and I'm already being chased all over the streets. Do you really think I'm easy to bully? Ling Xiao said angrily. When he was in the central region, he had consecutively challenged 4 great forces, causing the status of the proud smiling palace to soar. Furthermore, he himself was most afraid of shock. Others could not wait to hide, so who would dare to chase after him? Now he had just changed places and was being chased by others. It truly made him feel aggrieved. No matter what, you can't enter those cities for the time being. Although you can intimidate some people by continuously killing those people, it's hard to guarantee that they won't increase the bounty. At that time, many saints will come to attack, and the gains will not make up for the losses. Feng Qingyuan said from the side. What are you afraid of? With our strength, we can directly kill our way out. I really don't believe that anyone would dare to go against you again. Eurofei said with a face full of anger. No matter what, she was the Holy Emperor's strength. She might not be the strongest here, but she was definitely not someone that others could casually bully. Killing our way out like this is not a solution. We have to eliminate the source. A strong killing intent flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes as he muttered. But there's not much time left before we head to the heavenly formation. What else can we do? Feng Qingyuan said. It's not like the heavenly formation will only be opened once. At most, we'll wait for another year. I want to uproot the so-called ghastly Drake sect of the 4 great forces within a year. Ling Xiao shouted fiercely. This time he was really angry. It wasn't easy for him to come to the Heavenly Region stronghold after going through so many hardships. He originally wanted to rush to the Heavenly Region as soon as possible, but now, he was being chased like a rat on the street. How could he endure this? In any case, they were already at the edge of the Heavenly Region. It wouldn't make much difference if they wanted to reach the Heavenly Region. Ling Xiao is right. Let's just kill our way to the Ghastly Drake sect. Eurofei agreed. Don't be anxious. We'll take our time to think about this. Ling Xiao said as he gestured. Previously, he had asked Xian Yao to perform a divination for him. The Ghastly Drake sect might be his tribulation in the Heavenly Region stronghold. He had to deal with it carefully and not fail miserably. Just as Feng Qingyuan was about to reply, Eurofei shouted, "You sneaky thing, come out!" Then, she slapped her palm in a direction, and a large area of space instantly collapsed. Boom. Ah. Two blood-curdling screams rang out. When they looked over, they saw two high-rank saints fleeing in a sorry state. Don't let them go, but don't take their lives. Ling Xiao immediately called out to Eurofei. Eurofei nodded lightly, and her body immediately vanished on the spot. So fast. Feng Qingyuan, who was already a high-rank saint, couldn't help but exclaim softly. Ling Xiao was extremely envious as well. The Holy Emperor's strength and speed were definitely not something a saint could compare to. Chapter 1007. How could two high-level saints escape from Eurofei's clutches? Ling Xiao had spared their lives because he had a plan in mind. It would be difficult to deal with a large force like the Ghastly Drake sect with just the strength of the few of them. Therefore, from now on he wanted to control a group of saints for his own use. When the time came, he would bring a large number of saints to find trouble with the Ghastly Drake sect. This was not the first time Ling Xiao had carried out such a plan, but this place was not like the central region, so he had to plan properly. With this plan in mind, Ling Xiao discussed with the two women for a while and finally decided to take the risk and lure out the saints who wanted to come over to take his life one by one and capture them. Xiao, if we do this, if we attract the Holy Emperor, this will be difficult. Feng Qingyuan said worriedly. I don't think so. The reward offered by the Ghastly Drake sect is not worth the Holy Emperor taking action, unless they increase the reward. Ling Xiao replied. But isn't it too risky for you to rashly lure the saints? Feng Qingyuan asked again. Who said I would personally lure them? Don't I have subordinates now? Ling Xiao said with an evil smile. Ling Xiao spent a lot of effort to cast a high-level mind curse on the two high-level saints and healed their injuries. Then the group set off for the Ghastly Drake sect's territory. As the saying went, the most dangerous place was also the safest place. The Ghastly Drake sect would probably not think that Ling Xiao would dare to enter their territory. Snowy Yin Ridge, a mountain range that was covered in ice all year round. It stretched for tens of thousands of miles. Snowflakes were like stars in the sky, and the vast expanse of whiteness appeared illusory and dazzling. Occasionally, ice-birds would fly past and let out a few loud and clear cries. To the east of this mountain range was the Ghastly Drake sect's territory. According to the information Ling Xiao had absorbed from the saint's memories, Ling Xiao knew that this Snowy Yin Ridge was also a dangerous place, but at the same time, it was also a place where opportunities coexisted. That was because someone had once obtained ice-type origin energy from this place. Therefore, there would be many mercenary groups coming and going in this area, and there would also be people from various forces mixed in. Ling Xiao swaggered into the mercenary group's encampment. The two beauties by his side were like beautiful pearls, and the entire world paled in comparison. These mercenaries lived on the edge of life and death all year round, and their personalities were especially rough and lustful. Their gazes were unbridled as they stared at the two girls, and their saliva almost dripping out. A few of the bolder mercenaries looked at each other before surrounding Ling Xiao and the others. Two beauties, stay here and play. The weather is so cold, there's no future for you to follow a pretty boy like him. A peak mystic realm expert crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Eurofei and Feng Qingyuan greedily. Another high-level mystic Tharch laughed lewdly and said, Hee hee, that's right. You can eat and drink well with us here, and you can even be nourished by us. Why not? After saying that, this person actually dared to grab Eurofei's chest. Unfortunately, before his palm could touch Eurofei, a sword ray slashed at him like a bolt of lightning. Before he could react, one of his arms had been severed. Ah! The high-tiered mystic Tharch screamed as he held onto his wrist and retreated. However, Ling Xiao did not intend to let him go just like that. The ice and fire sword in his hand trembled like a snake and instantly pierced the man's throat. Puff! That high-tiered mystic Tharch's neck was instantly pierced through, and fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. His entire body fell backwards. How dare you? You actually dared to kill. That peak stage mystic Tharch was shocked. He shouted and was about to attack Ling Xiao. However, before he could finish his sentence, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a cold light. The sword light in his hand flashed and the peak stage mystic Tharch's head was severed. The rest of them were panic-stricken. They knew that the young man in front of them wasn't a pretty boy, but a terrifying existence that killed without batting an eye. Swish! Swish! Ling Xiao waved the long sword in his hand casually, and several sword lights attacked in different directions. The speed and power were not something that these mystic Tharchs could withstand. Those mystic Tharchs died on the spot. Only the puddles of blood dyed the White Mountain Range red. The expressions of the mercenaries stationed in the surroundings instantly became astonished and horrified. They did not expect this young man to be so ruthless. Moreover, he killed a mystic Tharch in one move. His strength was unimaginable. How dare you kill people from my Ice Wolf mercenary team? How dare you? A shocking voice came from not far away. Then, a middle-aged man riding on a level 8 Ice Wolf came out. After he came out, many auras rose in the surroundings. One by one, mercenaries filled with killing intent surrounded him. There were hundreds of them, and each of them had the strength of a heavenly venerable or above. Leader, I recognize him. He's the kid that the ghastly Python sect put a bounty on. A half-sage appeared in front of the Ice Wolf and pointed at Ling Xiao. As soon as he said this, the eyes of the mercenaries stationed nearby burned. One could imagine how many lives a bottle of spring water of life could save. For mercenaries like them who walked on the edge of life and death all year round, the spring water of life was undoubtedly the most tempting holy item. Ice Wolf, if you don't want to capture this kid, I'll do it. Another rough voice came. Then, a man riding a level 8 ice lion came treading on snow. There were many subordinates behind him. When the two groups of mercenaries gathered together, there were close to 1,000 people. There were also many people who were watching from the sidelines. There were at least 2,000 people. These two mercenaries were only low-level saints, and did not pose much of a threat to Ling Xiao. This made Ling Xiao very disappointed. He wanted to control the puppet death warriors. Of course, the stronger the better. Snow Lion, we found this person first. Watch me capture him. The middle-aged man on the Ice Wolf responded and charged towards Ling Xiao. Before he arrived, the spear in his hand had already thrust out a 1,000-meter-long spear shadow towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao easily dodged the attack and revealed a look of disdain. He crooked his finger at the two saints and said, "Don't waste time. Come at me together." The saint on the Ice Wolf shouted angrily, "If I want to kill you, I alone am enough. Then try me." Ling Xiao said indifferently and put away the ice and fire sword. He stood with his hands behind his back, his expression full of arrogance. He had already released the aura of a low-level saint. His goal was to let others know his strength, so that he could attract more powerful opponents and confuse the thoughts of the two people in front of him. If he exposed too much at once, those saints would be so scared that they would not dare to come and kill him. "Don't be so arrogant." The saint sitting on the Ice Wolf shouted angrily. His spear brought out terrifying icicles and pierced towards Ling Xiao. The absolute cold chi scared the surrounding mercenaries to the point that they all hid as far away as possible, afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire. Ling Xiao started to circulate the 9 sun-burning heaven technique. All sorts of supreme yang flames brought with them a scorching high temperature. His fist was covered in raging flames as he smashed towards the 1,000-meter-long icicles. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Waves of elemental attacks collided with each other, producing deafening sounds. The ice and snow in this area continued to fly, all of them being used by the opposing saint to wrap around Ling Xiao. Ling Zhao's supreme yang fire flourished, and many of the ice and snow that landed near him were immediately evaporated. He turned into a ball of bright sun and approached the saint. His terrifying aura was enough to make that person panic. Snow Wolf, attack. The man jumped down from his mount and let his mount deal with Ling Zhao while he attacked from the side. You think too highly of me if you want to use a beast to deal with me, Ling Zhao said coldly. His body flashed like a ghost, and a series of kicks sent the ice wolf flying far away, causing it to let out a series of miserable cries. The Holy Spear Ice Spear attacked once again, sweeping up countless ice and snow. It was as if thousands of miles of ice had frozen over, wanting to completely seal off Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao was not in the mood to mess around with him. He increased his strength by 2 times, broke through the ice and snow, and directly approached the saint. His fiery fist mercilessly smashed towards the saint. The saint's pupils constricted. He did not expect Ling Zhao's speed to be so fast. He immediately placed the holy spear in front of his chest, wanting to block Ling Zhao's punch. Pow! The sacred weapon in the saint's hand was actually broken into 2 by Ling Zhao, and the fist continued to smash towards his chest. Wah! The saint was sent flying 1,000 meters away. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he fainted in the snow. Captain! Let's kill him together. The mercenaries that followed behind all cried out in alarm. Many of them attacked at the same time, wanting to kill Ling Zhao. Unfortunately, Ling Zhao only threw out 2 punches with his bare hands, and the power of space collapse completely killed dozens of people. The others were scared out of their wits. They did not care about anything else and immediately fled like birds and beasts. The saint who came riding on the snow lion frowned, hesitated for a moment, then immediately turned around and ran. His strength was on par with the ice wolf, but the ice wolf was not even a match for him. What right did he have to fight with him? Since you're here, you should stay, Ling Zhao said faintly, then appeared in front of the saint who was sitting on the snow lion. Why don't you let me live? I'm willing to pay a huge reward. This person was tactful. He knew that he was not Ling Zhao's match, so he opened his mouth to negotiate, hoping to ask for a way out. If I kill you, won't everything in your hands be mine? Ling Zhao said and attacked again. Of course he did not kill this person. Although he was only a low-level saint, he could still be considered a saint. It was not bad to control him and use him as cannon fodder. Now that you've caused such a huge commotion, I believe the ghastly Drake sect and the others know that you're here. The next step is to capture those people who came one by one. When the time comes, we'll use these people to counterattack the ghastly Drake sect. Let's see how they react. Feng Qingyuan smiled faintly. When the time comes, we'll uproot them. Eurofei echoed. Chapter 1008. In a forbidden area filled with a dense deathly aura, there was a majestic castle hall. This hall was surrounded by a dark fiendish aura, as if a demon was floating in the sky, giving off a dark and frightening feeling. In this castle, a middle-aged man sat on a high seat, listening to the news from his subordinates. This middle-aged man had the strength of a peak saint. His face was gloomy, and his eagle-like eyes were filled with killing intent, giving off a feeling of fear. You said that the person who posted the bounty has arrived at the snowy ridge? The middle-aged man asked the people below in a hoarse voice. Yes, Sectmaster. He also personally killed the ice wolf and the snow lion. Many mercenaries that escaped confirmed that he is the person our sect wants to capture and kill. The middle-aged man replied. A bit of killing intent flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes. Since that's the case, quickly take our sect's people to capture him and bring him back. There's no need for anyone else to claim the bounty. Yes, Sectmaster. But does this person want to be alive or dead? The person replied. It's good that you can capture him alive. This is someone the ancestor personally ordered, the middle-aged man replied. Immediately afterward, the middle-aged saint responded and left the hall. The middle-aged man also left and went to the depths of the sect. In front of a stone door he bowed and said, Ancestor, the little bastard you're looking for has arrived at the stronghold. Moreover, he has also arrived at the snowy ridge near our sect. His voice lightly echoed in the vicinity, but no sound came from the stone door for a long time. The middle-aged man was not anxious and continued to respectfully stand there without moving. After a long time, a low female voice came from inside. I didn't expect him to arrive so quickly. Good. Good, that damned little bastard. I will definitely refine him into a living corpse. After a pause she continued. No matter the price, bring him to me. Yes, ancestor. I have already arranged for someone to go down. I will raise the bounty again. I believe that there is no place for him in the stronghold. He will soon be a guest of our ghastly Drake sect. The middle-aged man replied. All right, you may leave. The person behind the stone door responded softly and did not speak again. The middle-aged man tactfully retreated. In the secret room behind the stone door, there were many crisscrossing runes. If anyone were to barge in, they would probably be dismembered by these runes immediately. After passing through these array patterns, there was an extremely spacious secret room. This place was actually filled with a strong vitality, completely different from the lifeless feeling outside. Moreover, this place was filled with the scent of life essence. Just a casual breath of it could increase one's vitality by a few notches. If someone discovered that the life essence chi here was so dense, they would definitely immediately take it for themselves. Just the life essence chi here was enough to continuously increase one's lifespan. So comfortable I'm going to die. Do it a little more fiercely. Obscene voices floated in the air. Looking in the direction of the voices, one could see a man and a woman on a jade bed engaged in the most intense and primitive movements. They were performing all kinds of strange moves, and the difficulty level was quite high. The naked woman had the appearance of a young married woman. Her body was maintained in the most youthful, plump, and elastic state. Her expression was blurry and seductive. Her jade-like lips were constantly emitting moans, and the white area in front of her chest was constantly rippling, giving off a kind of extreme temptation. The strong man behind the woman was sprinting backward with all his might. His strength was the fiercest attack, which made the woman feel extremely good. After a round of sex, the secret room was mixed with waves of obscene smell. The woman was lying on the man's body with an extremely satisfied look. That charming smile on her face that was as beautiful as a flower was indeed very arousing. The man kneaded the woman's full bosom and asked, When are you going to let me take that thing? The heaven connecting formation is going to open again today. Listening to the man's words, he was also extremely yearning for the heaven connecting formation. The woman instantly frowned and said, Do you really want to abandon me? Don't tell me you're not satisfied with staying here and having fun with me? Do you believe that I won't let you leave this place for the rest of your life? The woman said that she would turn hostile. Her attitude was very unyielding, as if as long as the man said something wrong, she would make him look good. The man didn't get angry, he just smiled and said, I didn't say that I wanted to go to the heaven realm by myself. I want to bring you with me. Only there can we improve faster, and we can spend more time together in the future. Are you willing to stay here for the rest of your life? You damned bastard, I can't win against you. Wait another year. When the time comes, I will accompany you to the heavenly realm. I'm afraid that after you go in, you will miss this place. The woman's gloomy expression instantly turned bright, and she said to the man with a beautiful smile. The man did not reply, but in his heart he thought, year after year, do you think I am easy to deceive? It won't be long before all of you here will be mine. If Ling Xiao was here, he would definitely find this man very familiar, because he was the former sect master of the Black Demon sect, the Black Demon. The reason why the Black Demon appeared here was because he was no longer satisfied with the status quo in the central region, so he came to the heavenly realm in search of more power to break through. He had been here for more than 100 years, and his strength had reached the Saint Realm. The woman in his arms was the ancestor of the Dark Puppet sect, the Ghost Mother, who was in the middle stage Holy Emperor realm. In fact, her appearance had long since aged, but in this space full of life essence, she could still restore her former beauty. The reason why they could get together was because their temperaments had a lot in common. The Black Demon also had something to ask of her, so he stayed in the Dark Puppet sect, hoping that he could coax the Ghost Mother to give him what he wanted. However, the Ghost Mother did not seem to be so easy to deceive, and she made him stay in the dark puppet sect to serve her. Even when the Black Demon sect was destroyed, the Black Demon could not return. Of course, the Black Demon himself did not want to return to the Lingxian continent, a place with poor spiritual energy and origin power. He had greater ambitions. In the Snowy Ridge, many saints began to search for Ling Xiao's whereabouts on a large scale. This was because the dark puppet sect's bounty had increased once again. The spring of life had been raised to 2 jugs, and the high-grade mysterious crystals had been raised to 100 million. This temptation was enough to make many saints restless. The dark puppet sect itself had sent many experts to surround and capture Ling Xiao. At this time, Ling Xiao was in a place of extreme cold in the depths of the Snowy Ridge. I really didn't expect to find a 10,000-year icy snow lotus here. Ling Xiao did not seem to know that a great enemy was coming, and was excited about finding a rank 8 ice attribute spirit herb. Not far away, an ice attribute spirit beast was crawling on the ground, trembling, not daring to move rashly. Just now, it could sense that this human contained the terrifying might of a beast king, suppressing it to the point that it could hardly breathe. Moreover, the strength of the 2 human women beside him was also extremely terrifying, which was why it was willing to give up the 10,000-year ice snow lotus that it was guarding. Xiao, the news should have spread. If we don't show ourselves, I'm afraid they won't be able to find us. Then the plan will be ruined. Feng Qingyuan said. Don't worry. Those who can find this place are the ones we want. Don't collect the other trash. Ling Xiao said indifferently. They did not hide their aura now, deliberately letting others know that they were in this direction. If they had reached the strength of a saint, they would be able to sense their presence. Along the way, there would be many high-level spirit beasts, and ordinary saints would not dare to enter rashly. Therefore, those who could come here were definitely stronger saints. And these saints were the ideal puppet warriors for Ling Xiao. Someone is coming. At this time, Eurofei said faintly. Yes, with Sha Tian here, not a single one of them will be able to escape. Ling Xiao grunted in response. He brought the 10,000-year ice snow lotus to his mouth and sucked on it with a carefree expression. At this moment, a few shocking sounds of battle could be heard. The sound disappeared not long after. And as the sounds of battle disappeared, a few auras immediately became much weaker. Not long after, Sha Tian dragged a few people and threw them in front of Ling Xiao like dead dogs. 5 mid-rank saints and 1 low-rank saint. This wasn't a small gain. Ling Xiao did not stand on ceremony with them, and started to cast high-level spirit incantations to control them one by one. There are many saints in the fortress, but I wonder how many of them want my life. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. Within a month, more and more people came to kill Ling Xiao, and there were a total of 7 or 8 groups of people. Those people were at least mid-level saints, and there were even peak saints among them. Ling Xiao had no choice but to send Eurofei to fight with Sha Tian. However, there was one time when a half-holy emperor came. That fellow had a life-saving trump card, and it was of the wind attribute. Even though he was injured, he was able to escape from Sha Tian and Eurofei. After the half-holy emperor escaped, there were no more people who came to find trouble with Ling Xiao and the others. That half-holy emperor should have spread the news that they had a holy emperor, so no one with the strength of a saint would dare to come and die. Xiao, it's time for us to leave. I believe the people outside already know of our strength, and the people who appear will only be even more terrifying. Feng Qingyuan said to Ling Xiao. Yes, although the number of people is still a little small, we can only do this for now. If there were 2 more holy emperors, then everything would be perfect. Ling Xiao stood in front of the 30 saints and said with a fanatical expression, if there was such a group of saints in the central region, they would probably be able to sweep through the entire continent and unify the central region. If the Holy Emperor comes, we won't even have time to escape. You really dare to think about it. Feng Qingyuan rolled his eyes at Ling Xiao and said, there really is a Holy Emperor coming. 2 Holy Emperors and a half-Holy Emperor. They're so fast. Eurofei said with a frown. The moment these words were spoken, Feng Qingyuan instantly turned pale with fright. F***ck, what a crow's mouth. Ling Xiao couldn't help but slap himself and curse. Chapter 1009. A half-holy emperor and 2 low-level holy emperors. Such a powerful combination could do whatever they wanted in the Empyrean fortress. The half-holy emperor was the one who had escaped from Eurofei and Sha Tian previously. His name was Yu Fengyuan, and he looked to be in his 50s. He was a wind attribute cultivator. The other 2 low-level saints were Su Maimen and Wang Bo. One was an earth attribute martial artist, while the other was a water attribute martial artist. They were ancestor-level characters from 2 powerful forces, and had lived for more than 10,000 years. The reason why they had appeared here was because the embark's reward had increased. It was enough to tempt the Holy Emperor's people to make a move. I can already sense their presence. Looks like they're really fearless. Su Maimen grinned. Even Brother Yu was defeated by him. How would he dare to be so arrogant if he didn't have some strength? Wang Bo said. He paused for a moment before continuing. In a while Su and I will restrain the enemy's Saint Emperor. Brother Yu, you will capture that brat. As long as we capture that brat, our trip will be a success. Rest assured, brothers. I invited you to help because I've figured out their background. Apart from the 2 holy emperors, the rest will not be a problem. Yu Fengyuan patted his chest. As they spoke, they had already arrived in the sky above Ling Xiao and the others. Ling Xiao and the others looked at them calmly without any fear. It really is that brat. I really don't know what he did to make the Imba sect want to capture him at all costs. Su Maimen looked at Ling Xiao disdainfully and muttered. Who cares? Let's capture him first. Wang Bo responded. He actually ignored Eurofei and Sha Tian, and stretched out a claw to grab Ling Xiao. This claw caused the surrounding space to turn into a prison, rapidly locking onto Ling Xiao. This wasn't the first time that Ling Xiao had experienced the might of the Holy Emperor, but it was the first time that the Holy Emperor had attacked him. That use of spatial force and that terrifying pressure made him feel as if the difference between his strength and that of the Holy Emperor was like the difference between heaven and earth. How dare you attack my husband? You're courting death. Eurofei shouted and unleashed her dragon and elephant divine art. The phantom of a dragon and elephant carried the power of heaven's might and shattered the claw of that person. The phantom of the dragon and elephant then rushed towards Wang Bo. Wang Bo sneered. What a beautiful woman. You've only just entered the Holy Emperor realm, yet you dare to challenge me? Wang Bo had stepped into the Holy Emperor realm for many years, so his strength was naturally much stronger than Eurofei's. He could see through Eurofei's strength with a single glance, so he was not afraid of Eurofei at all. The powerful fluctuations caused Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyuan to have no choice but to retreat far away. Brat, you won't be able to escape. Originally, this old man had no enmity with you. If you want to blame someone, blame your status for not being low enough for this old man to take action. Su Maimen said faintly as he made his move towards Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyuan. The spatial energy seemed to be controlled by him as it imprisoned the 2 of them, preventing them from moving. Just as Su Maimen was about to forcefully pull Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyuan away, a shadow silently appeared. A sword image seemed to have sliced through the sky, bringing with it the power to tear apart the heavens and earth as it approached. Su Maimen's expression twitched. I knew there would be an ambush. He let go of Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyuan, turned around, and threw a punch towards Sha Tian who was sneak attacking him. How could Sha Tian's Tao of assassination, which he had cultivated for thousands of years, be so easily neutralized? Su Maimen's powerful punch only landed on his afterimage. The real killer move had already circled around to Su Maimen's back. Su Maimen was extremely vigilant, and immediately sensed that something was amiss behind him. His hair stood on end as he quickly rushed forward in an attempt to escape the fate of being assassinated. Sha Tian did not expect his opponent's reaction to be so fast. He swallowed the energy in his hand, and the sword beam in his sword suddenly grew longer, directly piercing towards Su Maimen's back. Boom. In the end, Su Maimen still couldn't avoid taking Sha Tian's sword. However, when the sword beam disappeared, Su Maimen actually didn't suffer much damage. A damaged Saint artifact guard armor could be seen on his back. It was obvious that guard armor had blocked most of the attack for him. Damn it, old madam will kill you. Su Maimen hadn't been injured for many years. He was almost killed by someone else's sneak attack, causing his liver to burn with anger. He roared and summoned his spirit beast. Sha Tian also immediately summoned his spirit beast, and both sides started to fight. Yuro Fei and Wang Bo were also fighting intensely. The battle between the Holy Emperor was simply like a natural disaster. The nearby spatial energy collapsed in large areas, and the mountain ridges below them were destroyed and flattened, leaving behind many terrifying huge craters. At this time, Yu Fengyuan rushed towards Ling Xiao with a cold expression on his face. Last time, I returned without any results. This time, I will definitely capture you to collect the reward. His speed was like the wind, and his movements were extremely fast. Ling Xiao was unable to sense his location at all. Fortunately, Feng Qingyuan had broken through to the high-level Saint realm, and could barely sense Yu Fengyuan's location. She held the holy sword in her hand, and slashed out waves after waves of violent wind blades towards Yu Fengyuan. Yu Fengyuan laughed in disdain. You want to play with lousy speed? You're not home yet. Yu Fengyuan transformed into a series of afterimages, dodging Feng Qingyuan's powerful attacks and starting to counterattack. The figure flashed in front of Feng Qingyuan, lightly caressed Feng Qingyuan's face, and said with a smile, "You're really tender, it's not bad to take you as my concubine." Following that, his palm changed, turning into a claw shadow that grabbed towards Feng Qingyuan's throat. Feng Qingyuan's strength was completely suppressed, and he was unable to resist at all. He was restrained by Yu Fengyuan. "It's your turn next." Yu Fengyuan seemed to be certain of Ling Xiao. He grabbed Feng Qingyuan with one hand and used his other hand to grab towards Ling Xiao. However, before his void claw could grab Ling Xiao, a bronze drum had already appeared in Ling Xiao's embrace, and the sound of the drum started to shake. Dong! A ferocious giant suddenly appeared, holding a drumstick in his hand and beating the huge drum in his arms. The sound of the drum was like the sound of a battle horn from the prehistoric era, but also like the sound of a mourning bell in a tomb, shaking one's heart. Yu Fengyuan did not know how terrifying the sound of the drum was, but he immediately sealed his ears to prevent it from affecting him. However, the sound of the drum was like a demonic sound, directly rushing into his internal organs, shaking his meridians and internal organs to the point that they were in an unbearable state. Fortunately, his strength was already at the half-holy emperor realm, and all aspects of his body and muscles were already incomparably tough. He was actually able to forcefully suppress the damage to a minimum. Yu Fengyuan, who was holding onto Feng Qingyuan's hand, had already been freed, and he seized this 1 in 1,000 chance to make his move decisively. The holy sword in her hand thrust it out 5 times, aiming at Yu Fengyuan's forelimbs and chest. The reason why she did not immediately cut off his head was because she wanted to leave it for Ling Xiao to use as a puppet. Yu Fengyuan screamed a few times as his body fell from the sky. He was actually still able to maintain his consciousness, and wanted to take out pills from his spatial ring to swallow and heal his injuries. Unfortunately, how could Feng Qingyuan give him this opportunity? Not only did she scatter his pills, she even shot out many wind blades in succession, ruthlessly teaching him a lesson. She beat him until he was on the verge of death, so that she could take him down. "Hurry up and let him bleed a little, don't let him recover. I'll go over and help Ro Fei and Sha Tian to take down the 2 holy emperor." Ling Xiao instructed Feng Qingyuan, then quietly headed towards the intense battlefield. Ling Xiao did not dare to get too close. The battle between the Holy Emperor was simply too terrifying. The sky within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers had been flipped over, and all kinds of terrifying shockwaves seemed to want to destroy the sky. Ling Xiao first chose Wang Bo, who was fighting against Yuro Fei, because Yuro Fei had the static mirror in her hands. As long as he interfered with Wang Bo, her static mirror would attack again, and she would definitely be able to keep Wang Bo here. At that time, it would not be a problem for her to join hands with Sha Tian to take down Su Mai Men. As Ling Xiao's drum sounded again, Wang Bo was indeed affected. His body swayed a few times, and his blood vessels churned uncontrollably. It was also at this moment that Yuro Fei finally used her trump card. The mirror light landed on Wang Bo's body as expected. Wang Bo's body was instantly frozen. Yuro Fei knew that the static mirror could immobilize a saint for a quarter of an hour, but to the Holy Emperor it was not that long. She decisively attacked again, and the terrifying dance of the dragon and elephant attacked the defenseless Wang Bo. Wang Bo was extremely sullen as he was beaten up like a sandbag. His entire body was almost scattered, and only a breath of air was left. All right, leave him to me. You go and cooperate with Sha Tian to capture the other person. Ling Xiao quickly went to the side of Wang Bo, who was about to die, and restrained him so that he could not quickly recover from his injuries. At the same time, he ordered Eurofei to help Sha Tian. Su Mai Men, who was fighting against Sha Tian, did not fare well against Sha Tian. Although he had entered the Holy Emperor realm earlier than Sha Tian's sly killing Dao had the ability to fight above his level. If not for the fact that he had just entered the Holy Emperor realm, Su Mai Men would definitely not be a match for Sha Tian. With Eurofei joining in, Su Mai Men completely lost his confidence. He did not hesitate to turn around and escape. However, Eurofei's static mirror did not give him the chance. The light shone on his body and captured him. A half-holy emperor and 2 low-level holy emperors were completely captured just like that. However, if they were captured, Eurofei and Sha Tian would also be injured. Fortunately, they were not fatally injured. With these 3 people, our chances of killing the Imba sect will be higher. Ling Xiao said confidently. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. As one of the 4 major forces of the stronghold, they will definitely have stronger people overseeing it. If the other party has a mid-level holy emperor or a high-level holy emperor, it is not something that we can deal with now. Feng Qingyuan warned from the side. That's true. It seems like we still have to control the stronger holy emperor. Ling Xiao sighed. The stronger ones are not easy to deal with. We have to be careful. Don't fail miserably. Feng Qingyuan said again. Yes, now that the preparations are almost done, it's time to find the Imba sect. Ling Xiao said. Isn't this a little too hasty? There's no hurry. Only by angering them first will an even stronger holy emperor appear. Otherwise, where will I get stronger helpers? Chapter 10:10. A half-holy emperor and 2 low-level holy emperors had extremely terrifying soul forces. If Ling Xiao had not tortured them half to death and then locked them up, he would not have been able to brand them with a high-level mental curse. After doing all this, Ling Xiao felt that the mental power in his sea of consciousness was unbearably exhausted. It had been a long time since something like this had happened to him. However, being able to control these 3 top-notch experts as guards made everything much easier. It was just that Ling Xiao realized that the high-level mental curse could barely control the heavily injured Holy Emperor. If it were a god above the Holy Emperor, any curse would not be able to withstand a single blow. However, Ling Xiao still did not know what kind of existence a god was, so he did not think about things that were too far away for the time being. After doing all this, Ling Xiao immediately changed his position and concealed his aura, intending to attack the ghastly Drake sect's peripheral forces. He wanted the ghastly Drake sect not to have a moment of peace. He was in the dark, and was not afraid that the ghastly Drake sect could quickly find him. For 2 months in a row, many of the ghastly Drake sect's subsidiary forces were attacked by unknown saints. The number was extremely large, and they all withdrew after capturing the saints of the subsidiary forces. This matter attracted a lot of attention in the Empyrean fortress. They knew that the young man on the bounty list had begun to counterattack, and his counterattack was so fierce that he actually dared to challenge the ghastly Drake sect of the 4 great forces. His guts were simply too big. The ghastly Drake sect's upper echelon was very angry. They had originally thought that Ling Xiao was only a low-level saint, and thought that by sending some people to capture him, and increasing the reward, it would be a piece of cake to capture Ling Xiao. However, before their people could find Ling Xiao, they heard that many saints who went looking for Ling Xiao had been killed one after another, so they had no choice but to return to the sect and ask for help. However, when they came out with a large number of experts, Ling Xiao was nowhere to be found. Here, they received news that their sect's subsidiary forces were attacked, which made them even more depressed. In the ghastly Drake sect's great hall, the ghastly Drake sect master roared, "Damn it! Who the hell is this little bastard? How dare he provoke our ghastly Drake sect? If he's caught, we'll make him wish he was dead." Sect leader, according to the report, That little bastard has the Holy Emperor by his side, but if we don't move the Holy Emperor, I'm afraid it will be difficult to capture him alive. One of the saints in the hall said. Don't worry. This time the ancestor is completely furious. She sent the 3 Holy Emperor elders out at the same time. If we still can't catch that little bastard, we'll all be in trouble, said the Imba sect master. That's good. When the time comes, we'll see if that little bastard really has 3 heads and 6 arms. He actually dared to provoke our sect. In front of the ghastly Drake sect's outer circle, Ling Xiao appeared with Yuro Fei, Feng Qingyuan, Sha Tian, and 2 other Holy Emperor elders. The ghastly Drake sect should be very angry now, right? After we destroy this place, we should stop and lay low for a while. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Even though destroying these subsidiary forces wouldn't shake the ghastly Drake sect's foundation, it would let them know that Ling Xiao wasn't someone to be trifled with. Even though these are all subsidiary forces of the ghastly Drake sect, they're all existences comparable to top 3rd-grade sects, and they all have several saints holding down the fort. It's really hard to imagine how many saints and Holy Emperor elders the ghastly Drake sect has. Feng Qingyuan sighed. Yes, it's not easy to destroy them, but it's enough to shock those who dare to take the bounty. Ling Xiao sighed. He had originally wanted to gather a large group of saints to attack the ghastly Drake sect. However, after dealing with the ghastly Drake sect's subsidiary forces these past few days, he could imagine how terrifying the ghastly Drake sect's true strength was. It wouldn't be that easy to deal with them, so he could only change his mind. As long as those people didn't dare to accept the ghastly Drake sect's bounty mission, he would have less trouble. When the time came, he could directly go to the heaven-connecting formation, and there wouldn't be too much danger. It was impossible for the ghastly Drake sect to know that he was heading to the heaven region. However, they were destined not to go so smoothly this time. The Holy Emperor of the ghastly Drake sect had finally descended. A middle-stage Holy Emperor, 2 low-stage Holy Emperor elders, and 7 or 8 saints from the subsidiary forces. Such a lineup could not be said to be small. They seemed to have expected Ling Xiao to come here, and had been waiting for a long time. The middle-stage Holy Emperor was called Guiyu. He had already reached an old age, and his appearance was extremely ferocious. The fingers and teeth on his dry old hands were like sharp claws, and they were extremely long, emitting a strong bloodthirsty aura. He was the oldest member of the ghastly Drake sect, and he rarely appeared. If it wasn't for the Een Ghost's mother inviting him out, he might not have appeared. Hee, I thought it was some amazing junior, but it turns out it's just a brat who's still wet behind his ears. Guiyu looked at Ling Xiao sinisterly and laughed. Ling Xiao, he's a middle-stage Holy Emperor. Should we escape? Yuro Fei looked at Ling Xiao worriedly and asked. Ling Xiao clenched his teeth and said, What's there to be afraid of? What's so great about a middle-stage Holy Emperor? His words obviously didn't match his heart. He really didn't expect that the other party would actually send out such a terrifying Holy Emperor to wait for him to walk into a trap. At this moment, Guiyu waved his hand, and 10 figures immediately appeared in front of him. These figures did not have the slightest vitality, and their bodies were covered with green hair, which was particularly strange and sinister. This is the Een Ba, a puppet unique to the ghastly Drake sect. Wang Bo, who was beside Ling Xiao, reminded. The Een Ba and the corpse demon were both puppets, but the Een Ba was of a higher level than the corpse demon, because it was refined with special materials when it was alive, and it still retained the attribute attack ability, which was quite powerful. The 10 Een Ba in front of them were all low-stage Holy Emperor strength, which was definitely a terrifying force. It's good that you know. Let them serve you well. Guiyu seemed to be disdainful of making a move, so he ordered his Een Ba to attack Ling Xiao and the others. Ling Xiao knew that this matter was serious, and immediately exclaimed, Let's go. It was already extremely difficult for 4 Holy Emperors to fight against so many Een Ba with the strength of a Holy Emperor, and there was also a middle-stage Holy Emperor eyeing them like a tiger watching its prey. They had no chance of winning at all. However, before Ling Xiao and the others could escape, the 10 Een Ba had already rushed over, and a terrible power enveloped Ling Xiao and the others. Although they have the strength of a Holy Emperor, They should actually be a little weaker than a holy emperor of the same stage. We'll hold them back. Ling Xiao, you and mistress run first. Yuro Fei sensed the power of the Yinba and shouted at Ling Xiao, using the dragon form power to block part of the power. Sha Tian, Su Maimen, and Wang Bo also attacked at the same time, blocking the power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This part of the world was shaken into powder. Puff! Ling Xiao was shaken by this terrifying power to the point that he was in a daze. His entire body was sent flying far away, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. On the other side, Feng Qingyuan was not in a good state either. He was also severely injured. Ling Xiao propped himself up, and all the power in his body started to explode. He quickly rushed to Feng Qingyuan's side, and at the same time, summoned Yu Yuan Feng. Blast this old ghost for me. Ling Xiao threw the heaven suppression drum into Yu Yuanfeng's hands, and pointed at Gui Yu and exclaimed. Yu Yuanfeng carried out Ling Xiao's orders without hesitation, and slapped all of his power onto the heaven suppression drum. Yu Yuanfeng's power was much stronger than Ling Xiao's. The power that he brought out with his full strength was incomparably terrifying. Gui Yu had been paying attention to Ling Xiao the entire time. He did not know what tricks he was playing when he saw him take out a broken drum, but when he heard the sound of the drum, he realized how terrifying the sound of the drum was. His body was in a mess from the shock, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. However, his reaction was extremely fast. The moment he was injured, he immediately hid his body, so that Yu Yuanfeng could not detect his presence. In the void, Gui Yu hurriedly swallowed a small bottle of spring liquid of life. He thought to himself, what kind of divine weapon is that? Its power is so terrifying. I must obtain it. As long as his aura was not locked on, the sound of the heaven suppression drum would not be able to harm Gui Yu. Ling Xiao was extremely anxious. He called out to Yu Fei, Sha Tian and the rest. Ro Fei, retreat. Hee, you want to leave after injuring this old man? How can you be so calm? Gui Yu's voice reverberated in the air. Immediately after, a ghost claw quickly grabbed out and pinched Yu Fengyuan and the heaven suppression drum together. Immediately after, Yu Fengyuan was squeezed into a pool of blood by the ghost claw, and the heaven suppression drum was immediately taken by Gui Yu. Ling Xiao's heart turned cold. The heaven suppression drum was his strongest trump card. Now that he had lost it, what could he use to fight against others? Ro Fei, I order you to escape with Master's wife immediately, or I will kill you. Ling Xiao shouted in exasperation. At the same time, he also ordered Sha Tian, Su Maimen, and Wang Bo to quickly return and protect his master's wife. Yu Fei knew the urgency of the matter this time, but she could not leave Ling Xiao alone. She immediately rushed to Feng Qingyuan's side, and prepared to go to Ling Xiao's place and leave with him. Don't worry about me, run. Ling Xiao roared again. Shower, let's go together. Feng Qingyuan hurriedly called out. At this time, the Yin Ba and the other 2 low-level holy emperor of the Yin puppet sect made their move. Su Maimen, Wang Bo, you guys hold them back. Ling Xiao ordered in shock. At this point, he had no choice but to abandon the 2 of them and let them hold on for a while. The ghost lair appeared again and sneered. None of you can escape. Countless ghost claws descended from the sky, carrying a terrifying power of space and a dense baleful aura. Yu Fei shouted, go to hell. She shone the static mirror in her hand towards the ghost lair. Swish. The light carried a dazzling and pure power, purifying the ghost claws and freezing the ghost lair's figure. The ghost lair cursed himself for being careless again. Just as Yu Fei was about to kill the ghost lair, a few Yinba arrived in front of Yu Fei at the same time. Yu Fei had no choice but to give up on killing the ghost lair. She returned with Sha Tian, brought Ling Xiao, and Feng Qingyuan, and quickly fled. Ling Xiao unwillingly looked to the other side, his heart aching for losing the heaven-suppressing drum. However, he also knew that it was impossible. The Yin puppet sect's holy emperor and Yin Ba quickly dealt with Su Maimen and Wang Bo and chased after them. Chapter 10-11. Yu Fei and Sha Tian were both low-level holy emperors, so they were naturally very fast if they wanted to escape at full speed. In the blink of an eye, they had traveled tens of thousands of kilometers, directly ignoring the distance between them. The two low-level saints from the ghastly Drake sect were not slow either, and they were still chasing them relentlessly. The ghost Imba did not chase after them, and they stayed by Guiyu's side to protect him. Guiyu did not know how long he would be immobilized. His power surged and struggled, and he actually regained the ability to move in just a few minutes. What a powerful divine mirror. It can trap me for so long. I have to get my hands on it. Guiyu licked his lips and revealed an extremely greedy expression. He put away the Imba and disappeared from where he stood. Although he had started late, he was so fast that he could actually capture the remaining auras and chase after them. However, when he caught up to his two companions, he found that he had lost track of Ling Xiao and the others. Guiyu asked sternly, "Where are they?" The two of them drooped their faces and were too embarrassed to face Guiyu. The result was self-evident. Damn it, if we let them escape like this, how are we going to explain it to Ghost Mother? Guiyu cursed and ignored the two of them. He rushed forward again, hoping to find traces of Ling Xiao and the others. Guiyu searched the surrounding area for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, but he did not find any trace of Ling Xiao and the others. He suspected that they had some treasure that could conceal all auras, so he had no choice but to give up. In fact, he did not know that a figure was hiding under a huge lake that he had passed by earlier. That's right, it was Ling Xiao who had escaped. He was hiding under 1,000 meters of water, and had completely concealed his aura, so Guiyu could not detect him. Previously, when Eurofei and Sha Tian had fled in this direction with Ling Xiao and Feng Qingyuan, Ling Xiao had immediately made a decision. If they kept running, others would definitely sense their auras and track them down immediately. Therefore, he had immediately asked them to enter the medicine cauldron, and then dove into the bottom of the lake to hide. Ling Xiao could completely conceal his aura, and with the help of the water-concealing pearl, he did not have to worry about being exposed at the bottom of the lake. After everything had been squandered, Ling Xiao quietly moved in another direction under the lake, not daring to rashly pop his head out. Now his heart was bleeding. The sky-suppressing drum was a divine weapon that he relied on to kill his enemies. Now that it had been snatched away by someone else, he couldn't take this lying down. But when he thought about how the gap between them was too great, he felt extremely uncomfortable. And he truly wished for nothing more than to immediately consume a medicinal pill to increase his strength and fight a few hundred rounds with Chen Shi. He knew that this idea was just an impulsive thought. How could he dare to actually do it? Damn it, I'll definitely get my revenge. You're the ones who forced me to do this. Ling Xiao bit her lip so hard that it bled. Although he had controlled quite a few saints, he was so powerless and insignificant in the face of the even more powerful Saint Emperor. He had to think of another way to deal with the ghastly Drake sect and retrieve the Heaven Suppression Drum. Unfortunately, the Heaven Suppressing Drum did not require blood to recognize its owner. Anyone could use it. Once Guiyu obtained the Heaven Suppressing Drum, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. He would not be afraid of anyone who was of a higher level than him. Now Ling Xiao had thought of a way to contend against the ghastly Drake sect, and that was to first raise Eurofei and Sha Tian to the realm of mid-tier Holy Emperor. Only then would they be qualified to challenge others. However, in order to achieve this, one must first refine the Holy Emperor pill. There were two types of saint pills, the 8th grade minor saint pill and the 8th grade great saint pill. The 8th grade minor saint pill was effective for saints, and the 8th grade great saint pill was effective for the Holy Emperor. Previously, the semi-finished Holy Emperor pill Ling Xiao had refined for Han Kai was an 8th grade great saint pill. Ling Xiao had the ability to refine an 8th grade great saint pill, but unfortunately, there was no source energy in the central territory to guide him, so he was unable to refine a true great saint pill. Now that he was in the heavenly domain fortress, Ling Xiao had the ability to refine the 8th grade great saint pill. All he needed to do was purchase a large number of spirit herbs, and he would be able to refine it. When that time came, it would not be a problem for Eurofei and Sha Tian to reach the next level. Previously, Ling Xiao had spent a large number of profound crystals to buy more than 100 8th grade spirit herbs from the Yang family's territory, but it was still not enough. He still needed many supplementary spirit herbs and some top-grade 8th grade spirit herbs as the main materials, as well as some source holy artifacts. Only then would he be able to gather all the materials needed to refine the Holy Emperor pill. Ling Xiao had top-grade 8th-grade spirit herbs in his medicine cauldron, but he needed to exchange them with spirit herbs of the same grade. In order to refine the Holy Emperor pill for Han Kai, Ling Xiao had already exchanged his treasures once. Now that he did not have the same high-grade spirit herbs to exchange, he could only think of another way to obtain them. Ling Xiao carefully left the lake, still concealing his aura as he walked through the dense forest. Half a month later, Ling Xiao left the Yin Snow Ridge and put on a cloak to cover his face. He now had to leave the Yin Nightmare Sect's territory and slowly make plans. The place Ling Xiao was heading to this time was the territory of the 100 Alliance clan. The 100 Alliance clan and the Yin Nightmare Sect had never been on good terms. In the past, the Yin Nightmare Sect had captured many of the 100 Alliance clan's Holy Emperor to refine Yin demons. Later, when the 100 Alliance clan found out about this, the 100 Alliance clan began to wantonly hunt the Yin Nightmare Sect's people. The two sects were like fire and water, and if it weren't for the 100 Alliance clan not being unified, the Yin Nightmare Sect would likely have been wiped out. Therefore, choosing to come to the 100 Alliance clan's territory was the most ideal choice for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao began to wander between the major cities, going to those herb shops that sold spiritual herbs in bulk to buy them. The profound crystals in his space ring plummeted. During this month, he bought a lot of 8th-grade spirit herbs, but not many top-grade 8th-grade spirit herbs. None of the cities he visited could compare to the rich collection of Spirit Medicine Pavilion in Yang Family Town. One day, he came to one of the largest cities under the jurisdiction of the 100 Alliance clan, a place governed by one of the 100 Alliance clan's clans. He hoped to find the spirit herbs he wanted here. I only have 200 million high-grade profound crystals now, which is enough to buy a few dozen 8th-grade spirit herbs, but I won't even have enough to pay for the journey to the heaven domain. Ling Xiao calculated for a moment, then murmured, "Do I have to use top-grade fire profound crystals? I'd better take some things out to sell." The 200 million high-grade profound crystals Ling Xiao mentioned was the balance of everyone in his medicine cauldron. He had already spent a lot of profound crystals to buy 8th-grade spirit herbs in other cities. Ling Xiao thought about it again and again, then decided to take some things out to sell. In each city, there would be shops that bought all kinds of spirit treasures. After buying them at a low price, they would resell them to make a profit. Ling Xiao had already calculated what he wanted to sell along the way, but for safety's sake, he didn't dare to take out too many at once, otherwise it would definitely arouse the attention of others. Ling Xiao asked the passers-by, and finally came to the largest trading shop in the city. This was one of the properties of the family under the jurisdiction of the city. It had an extremely good reputation in the city, and there were many mercenaries trading here. They brought the high-grade spirit beasts they hunted, the high-grade spirit herbs they didn't need, and some strange items here to trade for profound crystals. However, most of these people only took out 1 or 2 high-grade items to trade. Occasionally, someone would take out a little more to trade, and that person was destined to receive the special attention of others. Ling Xiao had a lot of things to trade this time, and he didn't want to be schemed against in front of everyone in the hall. He went to a receptionist and said, "Tell your steward that there's a big business deal that's over 100 million. Let's see if he can take it." The maid looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, then immediately nodded and replied, "Please wait a moment." She then retreated to find the steward. Not long after, an old man at the half-step saint level came out. He first looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, then said, "Friend, please come this way." Ling Xiao followed the half-step saint into the cabinet, where the big deal was going to take place. "Friend, what good goods do you have? Take them out and see. 100 million is nothing to us." The half-step saint said with a faint smile, "That's for the best." Ling Xiao nodded lightly, then took out the things he wanted to trade. So many things. The half-step saint looked at the pile of spiritual items in front of Ling Xiao, and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Immediately after, his old eyes emitted a bright light, and he exclaimed, This is a big piece of black inkstone, and this is diamond, and there's also wind-steadying stone." The half-step saint's old face revealed a look of shock. He kept looking at the various kinds of strange items in Ling Xiao's place, and his heart became more and more happy. The clan would definitely reward him well if he took all of these good things. After all, these were rare treasures that were usually difficult to come by. Can I eat them? Ling Xiao spoke in a low voice. Friend, wait a moment. I have to estimate their value before I can give you an answer. The half-step saint smiled as he spoke to Ling Xiao. For Ling Xiao to be able to take out so many high-grade spiritual items at once, the half-saint suspected that Ling Xiao had robbed many saints' treasures to obtain them. After all, there was no lack of people who robbed others to make a fortune in this trade. In the end, the half-step saint was more and more shocked as he calculated. Even though he'd only calculated according to the market price, it was still an astronomical figure. Besides feeling pleasantly surprised, he also felt slightly puzzled. He was pleasantly surprised because the value of these spiritual items was high, and he was puzzled because he didn't have enough mysterious crystals to eat them all, because the total value of these things was around 700 million high-grade mysterious crystals, and he only had 500 million mysterious crystals. It wasn't enough at all. Friend, I've roughly estimated that these precious treasures should be worth 700 million high-grade mysterious crystals. This business is slightly big, so I want to ask my superior to make the decision. The half-step saint spoke carefully. In the end he even added, please wait, we'll definitely be able to complete this transaction. Alright, I'll wait here for an hour. If your superior doesn't come, then I'll be leaving. Ling Xiao replied indifferently. Chapter 10-12. Ling Xiao took out a small portion of the materials he obtained from the 9 layers of the spatial barrier, but it was enough to cause a commotion. Ling Xiao had no choice but to do so. He was severely lacking Xian crystals right now, so consuming these precious materials that he couldn't use could alleviate his urgent need. In less than an hour, the half-saint hurried over with a person. This person was a middle-aged mid-level saint with a square face, thick brows, and large eyes. He had a resolute and extraordinary expression. Just based on his appearance, this person was probably someone who had always held a high position. This is our clan's holy elder. He's here to make this deal with you. The half-saint introduced. The mid-level saint cupped his hands and said in a very graceful manner, I Yihong greet you. Ling Xiao nodded indifferently and said, take a look at these materials. If you want them, then pay the Xian crystals. I still have important matters to attend to. Yihong didn't approve of Ling Xiao's attitude. Since Ling Xiao had come wearing a cloak, it meant that he didn't want to reveal his face. After all, a few 100 million high-grade Xian crystals were indeed enough to tempt many people. Ling Xiao took out the materials again and showed them to Yihong. Yihong exclaimed a few times with excitement on his face. He roughly estimated that if he were to buy this batch of materials and sell them, then it wouldn't be a problem for him to make double the profit. After all, many of the materials here were extremely difficult to find. It wouldn't be a problem to sell them to people who urgently needed them at a price. We'll take all of these. Friend, do you have any more materials? We'll take all of them. Don't worry, we won't be able to finish them. Yihong replied readily. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, that's all. Yihong revealed a slightly regretful expression, and then he gave the Xian crystals to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao also gave the materials to him. After he finished taking the Xian crystals, Ling Xiao was shocked to discover that the other party had actually given him an extra 50 million. He glanced at Yihong with surprise and said, thank you. Ling Xiao had a rough idea of how much these materials were worth. Ling Xiao thought that the other party was generous enough to give him an extra 50 million to leave a good impression on him. My friend, you're welcome. Yihong smiled and then probed. Since you're in such urgent need of glazed crystals, I guess you want to buy some holy object. Ling Xiao didn't expect Yihong to ask such a question. He didn't want to be probed by others, so he didn't answer and walked away. Yihong continued. If you want something good, you can come to our E-Clan's auction house to have a look. Maybe there will be something you need. Ling Xiao paused for a moment, then turned around and nodded at Yihong before leaving the house. Seeing Ling Xiao ignore Yihong like this, the half-step saint immediately said with some indignation, Third elder, this This fellow really doesn't know the rules. Who doesn't know that third elder is the one who keeps his word here? Yihong waved his hand and said, "This kind of person who is not willing to show his face to trade is not easy to deal with. We only want money, don't cause too much trouble." When Ling Xiao left the trading area, he immediately felt that he was locked on by a few auras. Ling Xiao didn't think that it was the Yi clan. It should be those people who didn't have eyes and wanted to take advantage of the situation. Ling Xiao didn't want to get entangled with them, so in a few flashes, he left them behind. Those people suddenly couldn't sense Ling Xiao's presence, and immediately broke out in a cold sweat. It was obvious that the person they were chasing this time was definitely stronger than them. They had no choice but to retreat quickly, and didn't dare to appear in front of the trading shop for a period of time. 10 days later, Ling Xiao bought a lot of spirit grasses here. He even bought a stock of top grade 8 spirit grass that he urgently needed from a street stall. On this day, the Yi clan's auction began. Ling Xiao listened to Yihong's suggestion, and stayed to see what good things were in the auction. This was much better than him trying his luck everywhere. After all, the Yi clan was ranked in the top 10 of the 100 alliance clans. Although its power was much weaker than the Yang clan, it was still relatively powerful in this stronghold. Perhaps there really was some rare sacred object being auctioned. After paying the entrance profound crystal, Ling Xiao entered his own small private box. At this time, he summoned Eurofei, Feng Qingyuan, Xian Yao and Sha Tian. Take a look at the things they need here, and ask for them all at once. The Yi clan's auction was indeed unique. The items being auctioned were all extremely rare and precious. And the auction prices were not low either. The bidding competition was also extremely fierce. After a long while, Ling Xiao actually discovered that the diamond, Fengding stone and a few other precious materials that he had sold to the Yi clan had also been put up for auction. The price of the auction was extremely high. Just a few materials were sold for more than 200 million. This way Ling Xiao felt his heart ache. He knew that the price he sold was too low. If he had known earlier, he would have given it to the auction house to auction. After waiting for half a day, Ling Xiao had only made 2 moves. Both times he had auctioned off a level 8 spirit grass. However, these 2 were not the main ingredients that he desired. It could only be said that these 2 were somewhat rare, and might be useful in the future. As the auction gradually came to an end, the real good stuff finally appeared. The first item made Ling Xiao excited. It was a light attribute Aurora Snakerot Tan. Aurora Snakerot Tan, a divine grass that was infinitely close to level 9. It usually grew near the Aurora Snake Nest, where the Aurora snakes roamed freely. Ordinary people would not be able to casually approach it, and those who had not reached the level of the Holy Emperor would immediately be surrounded and killed by the snakes. The starting price of the Aurora Snakerot Tan was 80 million high-grade profound crystals. This price made many people who did not have the financial resources to stop. Of course, there were also light attribute saints who participated in the competition. In the end, Ling Xiao bid 250 million high-grade profound crystals before he managed to get it. With this spirit grass, Ling Xiao had a chance to refine the light attribute Holy Emperor Elixir. Then a top-level 8 spirit grass appeared. Although it was not what Ling Xiao needed, he still auctioned it. He could use this spirit grass to exchange for what he needed in the medicine cauldron. Ling Xiao did not expect to get 2 kinds of top-level 8 spirit grass here so smoothly. He was infinitely close to his plan. After several heavyweight holy artifacts were auctioned, the last holy artifact finally appeared on the stage. It was a type of essence called Soil of All Earth, an earth attribute holy artifact. The starting price of this holy object was 500 million high-grade profound crystals. Ling Xiao was shocked. It turned out that a holy object of the origin was so expensive, and this was only the starting price. It was auctioned off at a price of nearly 900 million. Ling Xiao looked at it and sighed. Although he did not cultivate the earth attribute, it was worth it if he auctioned it off and left it for his own people to use in the future. After the auction ended, Ling Xiao could not wait to find a place to refine pills and raise the ranks of Eurofei and Sha Tian. However, before Ling Xiao could leave the auction, he was blocked by someone. "Friend, we meet again?" Yihong looked at Ling Xiao with a faint smile. "What's the matter?" Ling Xiao asked in a low voice. No, I just know that a friend is here, so I wanted to say hello, Yihong replied. Since there's nothing else, please step aside. I have something important to attend to. Ling Xiao said warily. I just want to make friends with you. I know that you've bid for a few spirit herbs just now. If you still need them, you can come with me to our treasure spirit pavilion. Perhaps there's something you need there, Yihong said. Then he explained. I like to make friends with all kinds of strange people, especially someone as young as you who dares to offend the ghastly puppet sect. I, Yihong, want to make friends with you. I don't have the slightest evil intention. Ling Xiao knew that his identity had been seen through, so he simply pulled down his hood and said, I hope Elder Yi won't disappoint me, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Yihong laughed. Don't worry, the Yi family and the ghastly Drake sect are irreconcilable. Everyone in the stronghold knows this. If you don't believe me, you can ask anyone. You may be an enemy of the ghastly Drake sect, but you are a friend of the Yi family. You don't need to doubt my intentions. Ling Xiao nodded. That's good. My surname is Ling and my given name is Xiao. That's a good name, it matches your looks very well. Come, let's have a seat at my place. Yihong praised. Yihong was a refined man, and his manner of speaking made people feel good about him. Ling Xiao's guard was down, and at the same time, an idea popped up in his mind. Ling Xiao and Yihong left the auction house, and went to another shop that specialized in spirit herbs called Treasure Spirit Pavilion. It was also a Yi family business. A portion of the items purchased from this shop would be sold in Treasure Spirit Pavilion, some would be returned to the family, and a small portion would be sold in auctions. Treasure Spirit Pavilion's scale was comparable to Yang Jiaqing's Spirit Medicine Pavilion, but the quality of the spirit herbs inside was much worse. Back then, Ling Xiao could buy 8th grade spirit herbs casually, but in Treasure Spirit Pavilion, 8th grade spirit herbs were placed as sacred objects. Ordinary people couldn't visit and buy them. Ling Xiao already had most 8th grade spirit herbs. What he lacked were top grade 8th grade spirit herbs that were infinitely close to 9th grade. Yihong didn't expect Ling Xiao to have such high standards, so he could only bring Ling Xiao to the highest pavilion's rare treasures. There were a few dozen rare treasures there, including precious stones, high-grade spirit herbs, and a couple of elixirs. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up when he saw the spirit herbs. Yihong then said, It's not easy to find things here. If Brother Ling wants them, you can exchange them with treasures of the same grade. Yihong knew that Ling Xiao didn't have many Xian crystals left, so he said this. Ling Xiao didn't answer Yihong's question. Instead he asked, Brother Yi, does your family have an 8th grade Saint Medicine Master? Yihong hesitated for a moment before replying, Of course we do. Ling Xiao asked again, Then why didn't I see any Holy Emperor elixirs here? Just now Ling Xiao saw a few types of elixirs, but they were all ordinary 8th grade elixirs. That was why he asked this question. He also had a plan in mind. Yihong smiled bitterly. Even in the stronghold, not many can refine that kind of elixir. How can we have it here? Chapter 10:13. There were many 8th grade saint alchemists in the stronghold, and many of them were saints, so it was normal for them to become saint masters. However, there were two types of 8th grade saint alchemists, little saint alchemists and great saint alchemists. Great saint alchemists were infinitely close to 9th grade divine alchemists. The Yi clan's 8th grade saint alchemists were probably little saint alchemists. Ling Xiao didn't mean to look down on the Yi clan. He was planning for himself. If I can refine a few holy emperor pills for your Yi clan, would Brother Yi be able to eat them? Ling Xiao went straight to the point. At this moment, Yihong was enjoying a cup of spiritual tea. When he heard Ling Xiao's words, his hand trembled and the tea soaked his clothes. He didn't pay any attention to this. He stood up and looked at Ling Xiao. Brother Ling, are you serious? Absolutely. Ling Xiao nodded solemnly. Yihong rubbed his hands together excitedly and looked at Ling Xiao like a naked beauty, wanting nothing more than to push him to the ground. Then what do you want, Brother Ling? As long as it's within our Yi clan's capabilities, we won't hesitate. Yihong slapped his chest. Holy Emperor pills were rare in the stronghold. Only 2 or 3 major clans would auction them, but they were quickly snatched up by others, and had to be exchanged with origin holy objects. The Yi clan had once obtained one or two, so they knew the heaven-defying benefits of the Holy Emperor pill. Naturally, they wanted nothing more than for Ling Xiao to propose a good condition. As long as it wasn't too harsh, he would agree. I only have a 30% chance of success in refining high-grade pills. Otherwise I wouldn't be going around buying spiritual herbs. Brother Yi, please consider this carefully. Ling Xiao kept him in suspense. What he meant was that every time he concocted a Saint King pill, he only had a 1/3 success rate. Hence, if he wanted to concoct a Saint King pill, he would have to prepare at least 3 sets of ingredients. Only then would he have complete confidence in concocting a Saint King pill. Yi Hong naturally knew that alchemy was risky. Their clan's medicine saint often failed when refining pills. Therefore, Ling Xiao's words made him feel more assured. He was sure that Ling Xiao was a great medicine saint. Brother Ling, why don't we do it this way? This matter is of great importance. I'll return to the clan and discuss it with the clan elders. I'll give you a reply within a day. How about that? Yi Hong hesitated for a moment before saying. Although he had a certain amount of power in his family, he was after all not the clan leader. This matter was too important, and it had to be decided by a meeting of the elders. Ling Xiao nodded and said, "No problem." Ling Xiao naturally knew that it was impossible for Yi Hong to agree so easily. It was good to give him some buffer time. The reason why Ling Xiao did this was entirely to have enough ingredients to refine the Holy Emperor pill. He said that he only had a 30% success rate, and that 2 sets of ingredients would be considered as remuneration. This was completely excessive, as many alchemists needed 5 sets of ingredients before they would refine high-grade pills for others. After all, the value of refining a Holy Emperor pill was indeed comparable to the total value of 5 sets of ingredients. An additional Holy Emperor or a Holy Emperor's advancement was a very big matter for a clan, and the future harvest would be even greater. This was a win-win situation. At the same time, Ling Xiao also wanted to befriend the Yi clan. When the time came to crusade against the Yin puppet sect, he would be able to lend a hand. This was much better than fighting alone. This was also the benefit of Ling Xiao revealing his identity as an alchemist. Ling Xiao left the Precious Spirit Pavilion and returned to his previous inn to wait for Yi Hong's news. Yi Hong appeared much faster than expected. In less than half a day, he found Ling Xiao again. Brother Ling, our Yi clan has decided to make this deal with you, but our clan leader wants to meet Brother Ling. Do you think you can come with me? Yi Hong asked. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment, then shook his head and said, I believe in Brother Yi, but that doesn't mean I believe in your clansmen. If they want to see me, they'd better come out themselves. Otherwise, forget it. The martial world was dangerous, and Ling Xiao had to be careful. If he entered the Yi clan's territory and fell into their trap, he would not be able to escape even if he had wings. Yi Hong was taken aback. After thinking about it, he realized that his suggestion was a little abrupt. If it was him, he might have made the same choice as Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao was now on the bounty list, so he had to be careful. Moreover, Ling Xiao was a great sage alchemist, which was enough to be on equal footing with any holy emperor. It was not a big deal for their clan leader to meet him personally. Yi Hong laughed dryly and said, I didn't think it through. I'll go back and talk to him now. Yi Hong left and rushed back to the clan to invite the Yi clan's clan leader. The second time, the Yi clan's clan leader came personally. He was a skinny old man with a reserved aura. He had a kind smile on his face, making him look like an approachable old man next door. Saint Master Ling, I, Yi Qingrong, have been rude. Yi Qingrong looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, then said very politely. Yi Qingrong didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so young, but there was no lack of treasures in the world that could preserve one's youthful appearance. Or perhaps he had taken some kind of pill that could restore one's youth. So he didn't underestimate Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao couldn't see Yi Qingrong's true strength, but he guessed that he was at least at the Holy Emperor's level. Ling Xiao returned the greeting and said, Elder Yi is too polite. It should be Ling Xiao who was too rude. Let's not talk about those overly polite words. Let's go to the Precious Spirit Pavilion to taste some spirit tea first, then we'll talk business. Regardless of whether we succeed or not, I, Yi Qingrong, We'll be friends with you. I Ching-rong said very straightforwardly. From I Ching-rong's way of doing things, Ling Xiao felt that he was very experienced and easy to make people feel comfortable. He was truly worthy of being the head of a clan. Ling Xiao, I Ching-rong, and Yi Hong arrived at the Precious Spirit Pavilion. I Ching-rong didn't get straight to the point. Instead, he chatted with Ling Xiao about the local customs and practices. Ling Xiao didn't know what I Ching-rong was planning, so he responded with a few noises. On the other hand, Yi Hong looked anxious. Holy Master Ling, where are you from? Why did you offend an evil sect like the ghastly puppet sect? I Ching-rong asked, cutting to Ling Xiao's topic. Ling Xiao didn't want to talk too much about himself, so he said, an evil sect like theirs should have been exterminated a long time ago. I Ching-rong nodded and said, that's right. If it wasn't for the fact that our I clan is weak, we would definitely fight them to see who's stronger. Ling Xiao didn't want to get entangled in other matters, so he couldn't help but say, Elder Yi, let's talk business. I don't have much time to waste. I Ching-rong smiled faintly and said, haha, I'm being too long-winded. He paused for a moment before continuing. Holy Master Ling has a 30% success rate when refining the Holy Emperor pill. Our I clan can accept this, but do you have any other requests? If it's too harsh, I'm afraid our I clan won't be able to accept it. I Ching-rong was a shrewd old man. He kept on talking to make Ling Xiao lose his cool, so he could take control and have the right to negotiate terms. Ling Xiao said, I'll give you 1 Holy Emperor pill for 3 sets of ingredients, some 8th-grade spirit herbs, and 200 million high-grade mystic crystals, or 3 sets of ingredients and a holy origin item. Ling Xiao's price was absolutely fair. 1 Holy Emperor pill could probably be auctioned for more than a few billion high-grade mystic crystals. It was definitely priceless. This was the most popular aspect of an alchemist. That's it. I Ching-rong didn't expect Ling Xiao's conditions to not be as difficult as he had imagined. He was surprised for some reason. What do you think, Elder Yi? Ling Xiao asked in return. Haha, I just didn't expect Holy Master Ling's conditions to be so simple. I thought he would ask for an exorbitant price. It seems like I'm a little petty. I Ching-rong smiled. In fact, there was a hint of disbelief in Ling Xiao in his words. Ling Xiao's conditions were not harsh, which was why he doubted that Ling Xiao was a liar. Ling Xiao naturally understood what I Ching-rong was implying. I don't have a place to stay here. If Elder Yi can find me a quiet place to refine pills, I'll immediately fulfill my promise. Ling Xiao's words were undoubtedly a way for I Ching-rong to monitor him and prevent him from escaping with the spirit herbs. It was also to reassure I Ching-rong. After all, no one would easily believe that someone they just met would be able to concoct the Saint King pill just because he said so. If that's the case, I have a good place to recommend. As long as Holy Master Ling doesn't mind, we can go take a look right now. I Ching-rong said. Ling Xiao nodded. There's no time to lose. Let's go take a look. I Ching-rong brought Ling Xiao and Yi Hong out of the city. After flying for about 2 hours, they arrived at a lush mountain range and finally landed on the mountainside of an inconspicuous mountain. There was a cave entrance covered by a restriction at the mountainside. Ordinary people couldn't see it at all, much less approach it. I Ching-rong removed the restriction and explained, This is where I usually stay when I'm free. What do you think, Holy Master Ling? Ling Xiao didn't mind as long as they didn't go to the Yi clan's territory. He immediately replied, It's pretty good here. There's plenty of spiritual qi, and it's quiet enough. Then give me a list of the spirit herbs you need, Holy Master Ling. I'll send someone to gather them immediately, and try to gather them as soon as possible. I Ching-rong said impatiently. Ling Xiao immediately listed out the spirit herbs of various attributes he needed. He even mixed in some extra spirit herbs to prevent others from identifying the ingredients of the pill. Of course, apart from these, he still needed holy items of various attributes as the main ingredient to successfully refine the pill. These were the most precious and important holy ingredients for the Holy Emperor pill. After I Ching-rong heard this, he immediately turned to Yi Hong and said, Go back and send a message to Yi Ming. Tell him to gather the spirit herbs Holy Master Ling needs as soon as possible. If we don't have them here, go buy them from other places. Yes, clan leader. Yi Hong responded respectfully and immediately turned to return to his clan to give this order. Holy Master Ling, let's go into the cave and talk, Yi Qingrong invited. Ling Xiao didn't refuse and followed Yi Qingrong into the cave. Chapter 10:14. The cave was very clean. There was only an ordinary stone bed and no other junk. Yi Qingrong took out some spirit herbs and chatted with Ling Xiao as he ate. Ling Xiao also took the opportunity to ask about the heaven region. However, Yi Qingrong did not know much. It was only some legends passed down from his ancestors, and some related records from ancient books. However, one thing was for sure. The heaven region was definitely a divine land. True gods truly existed there. They had the power to move mountains and fill oceans. Then when the heaven connecting formation opens this year, will anyone from your Yi clan go? Asked Ling Xiao. Usually our Yi clan will send people to attempt the heaven connecting formation, but not this year. Yi Qingrong said with a disappointed expression. Why do you say that, Elder Yi? Asked Ling Xiao. The quota is limited to 100 every year, so who knows how many heroes will be sacrificed. Our Yi family has shed a lot of blood on this path, and only a few people have returned to the heaven region. However, they never return. In recent years, we've been fighting with the ghastly puppet sect both openly and covertly, especially on the path to heaven. Those demons from the ghastly puppet sect often hit us when we're down, and the number of Yinba they control is not small. They always use their numbers to bully us and kill our Yi family's sons. This is also why our Yi family is currently lacking in manpower. Yi Qingrong revealed some hatred as she spoke. From the looks of it, many people from the Yi clan had died at the hands of the ghastly puppet sect. After Ling Xiao and Yi Qingrong spent about 10 days together, Yi Hong appeared again. However, there was another person with him. This person was also an old man with red hair and a domineering aura that could not conceal his arrogant expression. However, this person still lowered his attitude and respectfully greeted Yi Qingrong. Greetings, Patriarch. Yi Feng, you're here too. Yi Qingrong greeted. I've heard that a great Saint Master is willing to help our Yi family, so I've come to see if he's the real deal, or if he's just spouting nonsense. The elder named Yi Feng said as he stared at Ling Xiao provocatively. Yi Qingrong smiled and introduced. This is Saint Master Ling Xiao Ling, and this is Saint Master Yi Feng from my clan. Both of you are saint alchemists, so you can get to know each other. Ling Xiao nodded indifferently and said, Nice to meet you. Haha, I hope Saint Master Ling has the ability. I can learn from you. Yi Feng laughed. Then, an obscure spiritual pressure pressed down on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao raised an eyebrow and ignored Yi Feng's mental pressure. Not to mention how powerful Ling Xiao's mental strength was. His ancient emperor divine technique's sixth transformation, spiritual refinement, was enough to block this mental pressure. Yi Feng was a little surprised. He was a high-level saint who was proficient in occult psychic techniques. The pressure he exerted was enough to suffocate an average saint, but Ling Xiao was not affected at all. That only proved that Ling Xiao's strength or psychic energy was above his. You can learn, but you'll have to pay. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of others watching him concoct pills, unless they wanted to influence him and not let him succeed. Ling Xiao was not afraid of Yi Feng's obvious provocation. Yi Feng was slightly angered. He had never been looked down upon like this before. He thought to himself, you want to collect tuition fees? How arrogant. I'd like to see what you're capable of. As the Yi clan's chief Saint Master, Yi Feng had always regretted not becoming a great Saint Master. Now that a great Saint Master suddenly appeared and wanted to refine pills for the Yi clan, he could not help but be suspicious. After all, great Saint Masters were highly respected. Why would they condescend to help the Yi clan? That was why Yi Feng decided to see if this person was the real deal, or had ulterior motives. Tuition fees are negotiable. Yi Feng replied and handed a spatial ring to Ling Xiao. There are only 3 sets of fire attribute Holy Emperor pill materials here. I hope you can refine a fire attribute Holy Emperor pill. I'll watch from the side. Yi Feng, you can't make things difficult for Saint Master Ling. Yi Qingrong reprimanded, but did not stop Yi Feng too harshly. He had the same thought as Yi Feng. He wanted to see if Ling Xiao lived up to his name. Ling Xiao took the spatial ring and smiled slyly. Then you guys can stay and watch together. Yifeng frowned slightly. Looking at Ling Xiao's smile, he felt like he was missing something. Ling Xiao began to refine pills and his aura began to spread. You're only a low-level Saint Master. How can you be a great Saint Master? You really are a swindler. Yifeng shouted at Ling Xiao and was about to attack Ling Xiao. Normally, only those who had reached the Holy Emperor realm had the qualifications to become a great Saint Master. Ling Xiao was only a peak low-level saint. Yifeng was certain that Ling Xiao was not a great Saint Master. Ling Xiao's mind became unstable after hearing Yifeng's shout. The spirit herbs he was controlling fell one after another, and some of the spirit herb essences that he had just refined immediately dissipated. Ling Xiao was furious and yelled at Yifeng, who was about to attack, "Stop being so impulsive." Ling Xiao's voice contained a supreme dragon's might. It was as if a peerless dragon had broken through the sky and roared for thousands of miles. Yifeng had underestimated Ling Xiao and did not use his full strength. Ling Xiao's sudden roar was too powerful. Yifeng was dizzy from the terrifying dragon roar, and his eardrums were in pain. Yi Chengrong and Yi Hong were also slightly affected. However, Yi Chengrong reacted very quickly and immediately formed a spatial barrier to isolate the sound waves. Ling Xiao took advantage of Yifeng's momentary confusion to attack at lightning speed. His fist smashed toward Yifeng's face. Yi Chengrong did not expect Ling Xiao to take the opportunity to attack. The might of the Holy Emperor burst forth. "Saint Master Ling, please stop." A huge pressure forcefully suppressed Ling Xiao's attack. Even so, Ling Xiao's fist was already very close to Yifeng's face. It was only a short distance away from hitting him, but the fist force still scraped against Yifeng's face and made him feel pain. Yifeng felt a burning sensation on his face. He was almost injured by a low-level saint, which made him extremely angry. "You bastard, I'll kill you, you little liar." Yifeng cursed and wanted to attack Ling Xiao again. "Enough, Yifeng, stay at the side." Yi Chengrong shouted softly. With a light wave of her hand, Yifeng was sent several meters away by a gentle force, preventing him from attacking Ling Xiao. "Patriarch, he's only a low-level Saint Master. There's no way he's a great Saint Master. This brat is definitely a swindler." Yifeng was suppressed by Yi Chengrong to the point where he couldn't move, so he could only speak to cover Ling Xiao's face. "Since you don't believe me, then don't bother," Ling Xiao said faintly before putting the spirit grasses back into his original space ring and tossing it back to Yi Chengrong. Yi Chengrong smiled bitterly. "Saint Master Ling, this is just a misunderstanding. I hope Saint Master Ling won't take offense." He then looked at Yifeng and yelled, "If you keep spouting nonsense, I'll kick you out immediately. Hurry up and apologize to Saint Master Ling." From the aura that Ling Xiao had released just now, Yi Chengrong clearly felt that Ling Xiao contained an unusual energy. It was as if he was not just at the peak of a low-level saint, but more like the peak of a mid-level saint or even higher. Ling Xiao did not show any signs of panic. Since he dared to refine pills in front of them, it meant that he had nothing to fear, or that he really was a great Saint Master. Therefore, Yi Chengrong would rather believe that Ling Xiao was a true great Saint Master than fall out with him. This was definitely an unwise choice for the Yi clan. If Ling Xiao was a liar, could Ling Xiao escape with him around? This was clearly impossible. Ling Xiao did not respond to Yi Chengrong's words. It was obvious that he was very angry. The greatest taboo for an alchemist was to be interrupted while refining pills. Yifeng had undoubtedly committed the greatest taboo for an alchemist. No one would be able to tolerate it. "Yifeng, hurry up and apologize to Saint Master Ling." Yi Chengrong yelled at Yifeng. Yifeng's expression alternated between red and white. He glared at Ling Xiao angrily before turning around and leaving the cave. "You!" Yi Chengrong yelled angrily, but did not know what to say. Yifeng's position in the Yi clan was second only to his, so he could not criticize him too much. "Looks like you really do doubt my ability. Then Ling Xiao will leave right now. In any case, I didn't waste your materials," said Ling Xiao indifferently. He directly left the immortal cave. Yi Hong blocked Ling Xiao's path. "Brother Ling, please wait. We did not mean to distrust you. It's all my fault for bringing Yifeng here. I apologize to you. Brother Ling." Please don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Ling Xiao said. You should know that what we alchemists hate the most is being concocted by others. If I, Ling Xiao, dared to concoct pills in front of you, then if I didn't have a few tricks up my sleeve, I wouldn't dare to act in front of you. I don't believe that with my status, I can't cooperate with other families. Saint Master Ling, please don't blame him. Yifeng is a little hot-tempered, but he definitely has no ill intentions. If Saint Master Ling successfully refines the Holy Emperor pill, I, Yi Qingrong, guarantee that he will definitely apologize and compensate you. Yi Qingrong said solemnly from the side. Yi Hong tried his best to persuade him again. In the end, Ling Xiao chose to stay. However, he did not refine pills again. He had to meditate for 3 days before doing so. Yi Qingrong and Yi Hong knew that Ling Xiao would only start after his anger subsided. They were too embarrassed to urge him since they were in the wrong in the first place. Of course, Ling Xiao only said that because he was just throwing a tantrum. He would not let such a small matter affect his plan. He still wanted to borrow the Yi clan's hands to gather the ingredients for the Holy Emperor pill. This would not only save him money, but it would also save him time. The premise was that he had to give the Yi clan some benefits. This was a win-win situation. Ling Xiao would not easily choose to give up and find another partner to work with. Chapter 10-15. 3 days later, Ling Xiao began to refine pills again. In order to show his trust in Ling Xiao, Yi Qingrong and Yi Hong left the cave and allowed Ling Xiao to refine pills on his own. On the surface, Yi Qingrong and Yi Hong did this to reduce Ling Xiao's worries, but in reality, they could also lock onto Ling Xiao's aura outside. If Ling Xiao made any strange movements, they could control Ling Xiao at any time. Ling Xiao allowed them to leave, but he did not forget to remind them to stay nearby and not go too far. Yi Qingrong and Yi Hong thought that Ling Xiao was afraid that they would not trust him, so they listened to Ling Xiao's words. They only went outside the cave and did not go too far. They did not know that Ling Xiao actually had a reason for telling them not to go too far. Yi Hong, do you think this Saint Master Ling is reliable? Yi Qingrong asked Yi Hong. Yi Hong hesitated for a moment before replying. Personally, I trust Saint Master Ling. Yi Chengkong asked in astonishment. Why are you so sure? Ever since I started paying attention to him, he's been purchasing all sorts of high-grade spirit herbs in our city. If he's not an alchemist, I really don't understand why a person would use so many different types of spirit herbs to cultivate. That's clearly impossible, but he's quite bold and daring. He actually angered the ghastly Drake sect to the point that they raised the bounty on his head to capture him. He must have something special about him, so I'm sure he has no reason to lie to us, Yi Hong explained. Yi Qingrong pondered for a moment before nodding. Yes, Saint Master Ling has a righteous look on his face. He's definitely not a treacherous person. If he can really refine the Holy Emperor pill, it'll definitely be our Yi family's fortune. A great Saint Master like this is worth our full effort. Yi Hong, try to befriend him as much as possible. You don't have to be too deliberate, just let nature take its course. Yi Hong nodded. He understood what Yi Qingrong was talking about. It was important to make friends from the heart, not from flattery. After becoming a saint, Ling Xiao's speed in refining spiritual herbs was extremely fast. Those spirit grasses that floated out were burned and dried up by the scorching energy, and the essence of the spirit grasses fell down like raindrops. Ling Xiao's palms were constantly changing, making it impossible for others to grasp what he was doing. His calm and composed appearance was undoubtedly the demeanor of a grandmaster. Ling Xiao had refined countless pills for many years, and with the inheritance of the alchemy god, Ling Xiao was undoubtedly the most outstanding alchemist of the same rank. With his previous experience refining the Holy Emperor pill for Han Kai, Ling Xiao carried out each step in an orderly manner, extracting the essence of the various spirit grasses one by one. These were all high-level spirit grasses. Just these essences alone, the fragrance of spirit grasses immediately filled every corner of the cave, making people feel extremely comfortable just by breathing. Extracting the essence of the spirit grass was a complicated procedure for low-level alchemists. However, for alchemists who had already reached the high level, it had already become very easy and simple. Now, The only difficult step for Ling Xiao was how to suppress these huge amounts of pure spirit grass's essence and prevent them from spreading. Also, he had to extract the energy of the Ninth Order Holy Beast's beast core. Finally, he had to fuse these spirit grasses' essence, the beast core's energy, and the source holy artifact together. Every step had to be controlled perfectly to ensure that the various essences and energies did not spread and disappear. The final step of fusion required a great amount of energy to completely condense them. What Ling Xiao was most concerned about was the final moment of pill condensation, which would cause a heaven and earth phenomenon. The heaven and earth phenomenon caused by a great saint pill was so terrifying that even Ling Xiao found it difficult to bear. In order not to let Yi Chengrong, Yi Hong, and the others know about his insane alchemy, Ling Xiao purposely slowed down the speed of refinement. In the end, after 3 days, it was finally time to condense the pill. Ling Xiao immediately transformed into his half-dragon form, and his aura directly soared to the power of a high-rank saint. The surging energy was continuously absorbed by Ling Xiao, and the cave entrance was already filled with this spirit qi. Outside the cave, Yi Qingrong, Yi Hong and Yi Feng, who was not far away, all sensed the changes in the vicinity. The spirit qi within a radius of several tens of thousands of miles was sucked clean, and there were even traces of source energy mixed in. Is it about to condense the pill? Yi Hong exclaimed with joy. Yi Qingrong's expression also changed and she said, I think there's no mistake. With such a vast amount of spiritual qi gathering, and a few strands of origin energy mixed in, it's a sign of refining the great sage pill. At this moment, Yifeng flew over from not far away, and his old eyes revealed an indescribable expression. You should believe it now, right? Yi Qingrong looked at Yifeng with a somewhat reproachful expression. Because of Yifeng's recklessness, they had almost lost the opportunity to obtain a great saint master, and even lost the chance to obtain the Holy Emperor pill. How could Yi Qingrong not be angry? No. Impossible. Before the pill is formed, I definitely won't believe that he's a great saint master. Yifeng did not want to accept this fact. He had cultivated bitterly for many years, but had not reached the great saint master realm. Now a low-rank saint in front of him was a great saint master. How could he accept this? If he really succeeds, you'll personally apologize to him. Yi Qingrong yelled with some anger. Just as he finished speaking, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly sounded out from within the cave. The entire mountain peak was shaking nonstop. If not for the restrictions that had been set up beforehand, the cave would have completely collapsed. It was also at this moment that the sky lit up, and countless meteors fell from the sky like a natural disaster, crashing down with an unstoppable force. Boom boom boom. These meteors crashed down like meteorites, and the force was like a peerless powerhouse's attack. The impact turned the nearby mountains into dust, and terrifying craters appeared on the ground. Yi Qingrong, Yi Hong and Yi Feng's expressions changed drastically, and they all used their spatial energy to face the meteors. There's a phenomenon in the sky. A divine elixir has appeared. We have to protect this place and prevent the inside from being attacked. Otherwise, the divine elixir might be destroyed. And then, I'm afraid even Saint Master Ling won't be able to withstand it. He and Yi Hong seemed to be in an extremely difficult situation as they dealt with the meteors. This was because the impact of these meteors was not inferior to an attack from a high-rank saint, and was even comparable to an attack from the Holy Emperor. If not for Yi Qingrong taking on most of the pressure, the two of them would probably be forced to flee. The meteors lasted for half a day before gradually calming down. The spiritual beasts in the surroundings had long since fled to who knows where, and the mercenaries who were tens of thousands of kilometers away were also shocked. They thought that there was a saint or saint king fighting here, so they had long since distanced themselves from the battle, not daring to get close. Yi Qingrong only heaved a sigh of relief when the meteors disappeared. His forehead was already covered in sweat, and it was obvious that he had expended a lot of energy during this half a day. On the other hand, Yi Hong and Yi Feng were battered. Their clothes were torn in many places, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. It was obvious that they had suffered internal injuries from the impact of the meteors. Is the pill done? Yi Qingrong looked at the cave entrance that was still motionless and smacked his lips. Yi Hong and Yi Feng also watched eagerly as they waited for the results. All of a sudden, an alluring medicinal fragrance wafted out from the entrance of the cave. This medicinal fragrance made one unable to resist inhaling it to their heart's content. When the fragrance entered their meridians and organs, it gave them a wonderful feeling as if they were walking on clouds. What a pure and rich medicinal fragrance. This is definitely a great saint pill. I Ching-rong said with extreme joy. Yi Hong was also very happy, but Yi Feng had a surprised look on his face. Yi Feng could not understand how a low-level saint could refine a great saint pill no matter how hard he racked his brain. Could it be that he had some secret technique? The medicinal fragrance disappeared, and a figure slowly walked out from the cave entrance. Yi Ching-rong rushed to the side of the cave and exclaimed, "How's Saint Master Ling?" He knew that Ling Xiao had probably succeeded, but he still could not help asking. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and handed a bottle to Yi Ching-rong. "Fortunately, I did not disappoint you." Yi Ching-rong took the bottle and looked at the round elixir pill in it. Her face was filled with excitement. "It's really a holy emperor pill. Our Yi clan is blessed." Yi Ching could not help but exclaim. He then bowed to Ling Xiao. "Thank you, Saint Master Ling." Ling Xiao hurriedly stepped aside. "Elder Yi, you're too polite. We're just taking what we need." He wanted to be on good terms with the Yi clan, so he naturally did not want to be arrogant. That's true, but if Saint Master Ling did not think highly of our Yi clan, he would not have helped us so much. Our Yi clan will repay this favor. If you need our Yi clan's help in the future, we will definitely do our best. Yi Ching-rong said solemnly. Yi Hong also said, "That's right. If Brother Ling needs my help in the future, I will definitely not refuse." "You're too polite." Ling Xiao replied politely. Yi Ching-rong turned to Yi Feng and said, "Yi Feng, hurry up and apologize to Saint Master Ling." Yi Feng's face alternated between red and white. In the end, he gritted his teeth and bowed to Ling Xiao. "Saint Master Ling, Yi Feng has offended you. Please forgive me." With Ling Xiao's status as a great saint master, it was not too much to ask him to bow. It was just that he did not trust Ling Xiao previously. Now that Ling Xiao had successfully refined the Holy Emperor pill, he felt embarrassed. "Forget it, I won't argue with you over this. However, you still have to pay your school fees." Ling Xiao waved his hand magnanimously. Yi Feng was depressed. He thought to himself, "I didn't even watch you refine the pill. Why do I still have to pay school fees?" Although he thought about it, he did not dare to say it out loud. All right. Yi Feng, Yi Hong, hurry up and ask if the other Holy Emperor pill ingredients have been gathered. Hurry up and ask them to send them to Saint Master Ling. Yi Ching-rong urged. Yi Hong said, "Patriarch, I think we should let Saint Master Ling rest first before we talk about this." Yes. Look at how impatient I am. Why don't Saint Master Ling come back to my clan with me? We'll hold a welcoming dinner for you." Yi Ching-rong slapped his forehead and smiled. "I'll just rest here. There's no need to disturb your clan." Ling Xiao declined. Chapter 10:16. Ling Xiao couldn't wait to accumulate more high-level spiritual grasses and holy objects. He didn't want to waste too much time. As long as the Yi clan sent him more materials, he would gain more. Then he would be able to create more Holy Emperor or recruit more Holy Emperor clans. Destroying the ghastly Drake sect would only be a matter of time. When Yi Feng and Yi Hong left, Yi Ching-rong thanked Ling Xiao again. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Ling Xiao asked, "Have you ever thought about dealing with the ghastly Drake sect, Elder Yi?" Yi Ching-rong sighed. "Of course. Our Yi clan and the ghastly ghost sect are irreconcilable enemies, but our Yi clan is no match for the ghastly ghost sect. The ghastly ghost sect refined by them is too terrifying, and the number of saints and holy emperor experts they have is incomparable to us." Ling Xiao agreed with Yi Ching-rong's words. He had seen the Yinba summoned by the ghost lair, and the number was truly astonishing. Moreover, that was only the tip of the iceberg of the Yinba sect. Who knew how many more holy emperor Yinba were in the sect? The fact that they were able to exist peacefully even after offending the various races of the 100 Alliance race naturally showed that they were powerful and terrifying. Ling Xiao continued. "How many clans in your 100 Alliance clan want to deal with the Yin puppet sect like you?" Yi Qingrong was aware of the grudge between Ling Xiao and the ghastly Drake sect, so she immediately advised, "Could it be that Sacred Master Ling wants to attack the ghastly Drake sect? I advise you to think twice before you act." "Does Elder Yi think that the ghastly Drake sect is invincible?" Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Yi Qingrong said, "That's not the case. If all the alliances of the 100 alliances attacked at the same time, it would be a piece of cake to annihilate the ghastly Drake sect. However, it would be difficult to accomplish anything with just 2 or 3 clans working together. The ghastly Drake sect has 3 high-rank holy emperors, ghastly demonic demons. These are the terrifying ghastly demonic demons that the ghastly Drake sect has inherited. Without a few high-rank holy emperors, it would be difficult to accomplish anything. Not to mention that they have many holy emperors and saints. This is a force that cannot be underestimated." 3 high-level holy emperors. Ling Xiao could not help but gasp. Existences with such strength were already terrifying existences that were infinitely close to deities. Yet the ghastly Drake sect had 3 of them. It was no wonder that they could dominate the fortress for so many years without declining. Therefore, Holy Master Ling shouldn't be impulsive when you're powerless, Yi Qingrong advised. Ling Xiao frowned and thought to himself, "Are we just going to let it go like this?" First, he was chased by the ghastly Python sect for some reason. And then the heaven-suppressing drum was snatched away. How could Ling Xiao endure this debt? "Elder Yi, how many of your 100 alliance clans have a grudge against the ghastly Drake sect?" Ling Xiao asked. Yi Qingrong pondered for a moment and said, "About a dozen, but only 6 or 7 of them dare to challenge the ghastly Drake sect. The rest are either weak or cowards." "Elder Yi, how about this? Contact these clans that dare to go against the ghastly Drake sect, and see if they need the Holy Emperor pill. I can also refine it for them, but after their strength increases, do they dare to challenge the ghastly Drake sect with me?" Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before suggesting. A glint flashed across Yi Qingrong's old eyes. He calculated in his heart and said, "All clans want the Holy Emperor pill, but it's hard to say if they will start a war with the ghastly Drake sect for the Holy Emperor pill. However, there are 2 or 3 clans that will definitely take action. They are the same as our Yi clan, sworn to be enemies with the ghastly Drake sect. Looks like we're still weak." Ling Xiao sighed. Yi Qingrong continued, "Actually, this old man has an idea, but I don't know if Holy Master Ling will agree." Ling Xiao was astonished. "Elder Yi, please speak the truth. Use Holy Master Ling's name to summon everyone in the stronghold. If anyone dares to oppose the ghastly Drake sect, they can refine a great Saint Master pill for them. I believe many reclusive old monsters will be tempted. When they join us, they will definitely be a force that cannot be underestimated. Moreover, the ghastly Drake sect's actions over the years have already incurred the dissatisfaction of many factions. As long as Holy Master Ling is willing to summon them, many experts will gather, and we will have the power to challenge the ghastly Drake sect," Yi Qingrong suggested. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment before a look of joy gradually appeared on his face. "Elder Yi's plan is brilliant. Everyone wants to destroy an evil sect like the ghastly Drake sect. I believe many people will be willing to work together. Yes, although it's a good plan, we need to plan it at length. We can't let some people fish in troubled waters." Yi Qingrong's eyes flashed as he replied. The Yi clan and the ghastly Drake sect had a deep grudge. If they could use Ling Xiao's name to gather many saints or the Holy Emperor, the Yi clan could use this opportunity to recruit these people to strengthen the Yi clan, and also deal with the ghastly Drake sect. This was truly a brilliant plan that killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Ling Xiao naturally did not know Yi Qingrong's plan. His goal was to destroy the ghastly Drake sect as soon as possible, take back the heaven-suppressing drum, and head to the heaven region. He would not stay in the stronghold for long. After Ling Xiao and Yi Qingrong planned for a while, the Yi clan would be the one to spread the news. However, before that, they had to contact the other clans and reach an agreement. If the other clans did not dare to challenge the ghastly Drake sect, it would be difficult for the itinerant cultivators to achieve anything. A few days later, 2 more holy emperors came from the Yi clan. Together with Yi Qingrong, They set up a powerful restriction in front of the cave abode to block the natural phenomena caused by Ling Xiao's pill formation and prevent them from disturbing Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was happy to see them like this. He only cared about refining pills in peace. However, the Yi clan exhausted all their wealth and resources and only managed to gather 18 sets of ingredients for the Holy Emperor pill of different attributes. Most importantly, they were severely lacking origin holy items as the main ingredient. Ling Xiao only needed to give 6 Holy Emperor pills to the Yi clan out of these 18 sets of ingredients. The effects of these 6 Holy Emperor pills should not be underestimated. If a mid-level Holy Emperor consumed it and advanced to the strength of a high-level Holy Emperor, his clan's strength would be completely different from before. Or if it was given to a half-Holy Emperor, they could directly reach the level of a true Holy Emperor. The effects would be very obvious. Yi Qingrong and the other Holy Emperors of the Yi clan were overjoyed. With this increase in strength, the Yi clan's status among the 100 alliance clans would definitely rise. During this period, Yi Qingrong also contacted a few of the 100 alliance clans' allies who had a grudge against the ghastly Drake sect. These clans had the best relationship with the Yi clan. They had all been connected by marriage before, so of course he would think of them first if there were any benefits. 3 of these clans also had a great enmity with the ghastly Drake sect. After hearing Yi Qingrong's conditions, they hesitated for a moment before deciding to participate in this plan. These 3 clans had gathered more than 30 sets of Holy Emperor pill materials for Ling Xiao, so that Ling Xiao could refine the Holy Emperor pill for them. Yi Hong was a little worried that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to eat it. After all, refining such a high-grade pill was quite taxing. Most 8th-grade alchemists would control the number of times they refined pills every month, so that their mental state could be stabilized, and they could refine pills better. However, ever since Ling Xiao refined the first Holy Emperor pill, he hadn't come out of his cave abode. Every 2 or 3 days, there would be a shocking phenomenon. The phenomenon of the Holy Emperor pill of various attributes were all different, but their power was all abnormally terrifying. Fortunately, Yi Qingrong and a few other Holy Emperor had already set up a defensive formation and made all preparations. Meanwhile, the Yi clan had already sealed off the area within a radius of several tens of thousands of miles. No one was allowed to enter. After more than a month, Ling Xiao came out of seclusion again with more than 10 Holy Emperor pills in his hands. During this period, he wasn't in a hurry to refine Holy Emperor pills for Yuro Fei and Sha Tian. Instead, he planned to refine pills for them after establishing good relations with the Yi clan and the other clans. Yi Qingrong appeared in front of Ling Xiao with a few elders. All of them were at the Holy Emperor level, and looked at Ling Xiao with a burning gaze. "Brother Yi, this must be Holy Master Ling, right? I didn't expect him to be such a young talent. Us old men are really envious." An elder in green robes asked while stroking his white beard. Yi Qingrong nodded and smiled proudly. "That's right, this is Holy Master Ling. You've all seen the phenomenon these days. I believe Holy Master Ling has finished refining your Holy Emperor pill. Hurry up and give Ling Xiao your reward." It was indeed the Yi clan's fortune to be able to make friends with such a noble great saint. "This humble servant is Huang Dongsheng. Greetings, Holy Master Ling. This is your reward." A middle-aged man in yellow stepped forward and greeted Ling Xiao politely while handing a spatial ring to Ling Xiao. The elder in green robes also smiled and said, "This humble servant is King Qingfu. Greetings, Holy Master Ling." As he spoke, he also handed over a spatial ring. Another black-robed elder stepped forward and handed over a spatial ring. "This humble servant is Zhao Han. Greetings, Holy Master Ling." They were all from the Holy Emperor, but they did not dare to put on airs in front of Ling Xiao. After all, it was not easy to meet a great saint master. Moreover, he had refined the Holy Emperor pill for them, so they had no choice but to treat him with respect. "There's no need to be so polite. We're just taking what we need." Ling Xiao replied indifferently and handed over the refined Holy Emperor pill to each of them. They were all extremely happy. With these Holy Emperor pills, their clan's strength was destined to rise to another level. Ling Xiao looked at Yi Qingrong and said, "Elder Yi, I wonder if you've discussed this matter with the others?" Yi Qingrong nodded and said, "I've already said it. If Holy Master Ling really wants to start a war with the ghastly Drake sect, we will definitely do our best to help. That's right. Evil sects like the ghastly Drake sect should be exterminated by everyone. I, Huang Dongsheng, am willing to lend Holy Master Ling a hand. Huang Dongsheng was the first to express his stance. King Qingfu said, "With these Saint Emperor pills, my strength will be able to advance once more and step into the advanced rank of the Saint Emperor realm. Why would I be afraid of the ghastly Drake sect then? My Zhao clan will definitely not shrink back," Zhao Han said resolutely. These were all clans that had once been enemies with the ghastly Drake sect. They had long since wanted to kill the ghastly Drake sect. Now that they had such an opportunity, they definitely did not want to let it go. I can rest assured with your words. I, Ling Xiao, am weak, but I still have 2 mid-rank Holy Emperor and dozens of saints following me. I will definitely not let you suffer a loss, Ling Xiao said. Chapter 1017. This time, Ling Xiao accepted Yi Qingrong's invitation and went to the Yi family's territory to drink and chat with the other Holy Emperors. During the banquet, Ling Xiao, Yi Qingrong, and the others reached a consensus and decided to work together to deal with the ghastly Drake sect. However, what they needed to do now was to recruit those saints or Holy Emperors who wanted to suddenly advance. Regardless of which martial artist it was, they could not resist the temptation of high-tier medicinal pills. Once they received the news, many people would definitely come to participate. When everyone was ready, it would be time to deal with the ghastly Drake sect together. After resting for 3 days in the Yi family, Ling Xiao returned to his cave abode outside the mountain range to refine pills again. This time, he wanted to refine the Holy Emperor pill for Eurofei and Sha Tian. With the Moon Jewel Holy Light, 10,000-year geocentric spring, and 10,000-year tree sap as the main ingredients, as well as the other top grade 8 spirit herbs as the main ingredients, he had all the ingredients. There was nothing special about the pill refinement this time. The light attribute Holy Emperor pill and the water and wood attribute Holy Emperor pill were successfully refined by Ling Xiao. Eurofei and Sha Tian's strength directly rose to the mid-stage Holy Emperor realm. In addition, among the many saints under his control, 2 peak saints were also given the Holy Emperor pill by Ling Xiao. One was lucky enough to become a low-stage Holy Emperor, while the other failed to break through and only reached the half-stage Holy Emperor realm. As a result, Ling Xiao's side now had 2 mid-stage Holy Emperors, 1 low-stage Holy Emperor, and 1 half-stage Holy Emperor. The other saints were also raised to the same level by Ling Xiao's pills. Each saint had the strength of a mid-stage saint, and there were a total of 37 saints. Such a force was definitely not inferior to the Yi, Huang, Qing and Zhao families. In fact, they even had a lot more saints. I can only hope that we can recruit some true peerless experts to help us this time. Otherwise, it won't be optimistic to deal with the ghastly Drake sect. Ling Xiao muttered. Eurofei, who had already come out of the cauldron, said with a twinkle in her beautiful eyes, "Xiao, don't worry. The ghastly Python sect has put a bounty on your life, but so many experts have come out to kill you. Now that you've used the Saint pill and the Holy Emperor pill as bait, there will definitely be more people coming to help." Feng Qingyuan, on the other hand, sat at the side without saying a word. There was a hint of contemplation between his brows. Ling Xiao asked Feng Qingyuan, "Master's wife is thinking about Master again?" Feng Qingyuan shook his head and said, "That's not it. I'm just wondering if we can find another strong helper to help us." "What kind of reinforcements can we have in the fortress? We can only hope that those people won't dare to go against the ghastly Drake sect." Ling Xiao laughed bitterly. "No. We can also have strong reinforcements in the stronghold." Feng Qingyuan said as a token appeared in his hand. "Mistress, this is?" Ling Xiao and Eurofei both looked at Feng Qingyuan in confusion. Feng Qingyuan explained, "This was left behind for me by your master back then. He also knows a friend in the stronghold, and said that if there is a need, he can go find this friend of his. This person will definitely help." "Mistress, why didn't you say so earlier that you had this backup plan?" Ling Xiao exclaimed in joy. Feng Qingyuan said, With Xiao Air here, I have never thought of looking for help from others. It's just that your plan is too big, and I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to handle it alone. Furthermore, those families that have agreed might not go all out to fight. So Mistress felt that it was necessary to look for him as a friend. Master, what is the strength of this friend? If he is too weak, it will be of no use. Eurofei said from the side. I don't know either, but to be able to befriend your master, he shouldn't be too weak. What's more, the other party is from the Myriad Sword Sect. Feng Qingyuan shook his head. Myriad Sword Sect? The leader of the four great powers, the Myriad Sword Sect? Ling Xiao exclaimed. Feng Qingyuan nodded his head, and said with a strange expression. That's right, her name is Yin Shui. Jun Shui? It should be a woman's name, right? Eurofei said from the side. At this time, Ling Xiao suddenly laughed out loud and said, Haha, I know why Mistress doesn't want to look for this friend. The evil emperor had lived a romantic life, and this woman called Yin Shui in front of him most likely had a relationship with the evil emperor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have emphasized that she was a trustworthy person. As a woman, Feng Qingyuan naturally did not have a good impression of her rival in love. If it wasn't for the current situation, she definitely wouldn't have told this matter to Ling Xiao, and she didn't want to get to know Yin Shui either. Are you asking for a beating? Feng Qingyuan glared at Ling Xiao and shouted. If Mistress doesn't want to use this relationship, then forget it. I don't want Mistress to fight with him, Ling Xiao said. Feng Qingyuan stroked his hair, revealing a flirtatious expression as he said, Ever since I fell in love with your master, I knew that he would not be a man that I could enjoy alone. He is just as dissolute as you, causing love debts everywhere, but a woman that can hold him back has yet to appear, so I'm afraid that Yin Shui is just like me, one of the pitiful women that he abandoned. Then Mistress. Ling Xiao wanted to say something, but he hesitated. Feng Qingyuan did not wait for him to speak, and said, Leave this matter to me. I will make a trip to the Myriad Sword Sect's territory, and see if I can borrow her power to deal with the Yin Drake sect. Alright, since Mistress insists, I will let Rofei and Sha Tian escort you there. Ling Xiao replied. No need, it's much more dangerous to be around you than me. Moreover, the Yin Drake sect's people are not after me. As long as I keep a low profile and change my appearance, no one will be able to do anything to me. Moreover, as long as it's not the Holy Emperor, no one can do anything to me. Don't think that your mistress is old and useless. Feng Qingyuan glared at Ling Xiao and said. Ling Xiao did not try to persuade her anymore, but he still sent the low-level Holy Emperor and the half-Holy Emperor to her side to protect her, until she reached the Myriad Sword Sect. Ling Xiao asked the Yi clan to send Feng Qingyuan to the teleportation formation. The Yi clan was surprised to see someone else suddenly appear from the cave, but they did not dare to ask anything. After all, Ling Xiao was a great saint master that even their old clan master wanted to curry favor with. I hope Mistress will gain something from this trip. Ling Xiao sighed softly at the entrance of the cave, then returned to the cave. He could only wait for the rogue cultivators recruited by the Yi clan to arrive, and make use of this time to cultivate and accumulate power, striving to reach the intermediate saint level as soon as possible. He realized that his current cultivation was still too weak here. If he went to the heaven region, a place where only gods existed, he was afraid that he would only be a small fry. If he encountered any trouble, they could crush him with a single finger. Currently, Ling Xiao had the 5 elements and wind origin holy items in his hands. These were the ingredients for the Holy Emperor pill provided by the Yi clan, Huang clan, Qing clan, and Zhao clan. He could use this origin energy to suddenly reach the intermediate saint level. When Ling Xiao passed through the 9 layers of the spatial barrier, the evil demonic heavenly fire bead, the tree of immortality, and the Kane-in wind bead had absorbed a large amount of energy into his dantian, giving him the strength to break through to the intermediate saint level. However, in order to strengthen his foundation, Ling Xiao had specially compressed the energy so that he could remain at the peak of the low-level saint level. Now that he had the origin holy item, it was the purest energy for any cultivator, allowing him to break through to the next level without any side effects. Metal origin energy was one of the origin holy items that Ling Xiao had the most in stock. Other than the ones he obtained from the spatial barrier, the Yi clan had also provided him with some. And the Huang and Zhao clan had also provided him with some. He no longer had to worry about not having enough in the future, so he decided to take some out to absorb and refine it. Metal origin energy was a type of origin energy that only existed in a special place with metal-type spirit qi. It was golden in color and flashed with a dazzling light, giving off a sharp and oppressive feeling. After Ling Xiao adjusted his condition, he opened his mouth and sucked in the ball of metal origin energy. Ling Xiao felt a sharp pain, as if he was being stabbed by a sword. It was as if he had not swallowed a ball of qi, but a golden sword. The golden sword was piercing his meridians, acupuncture points, and organs, making Ling Xiao feel unbearable pain. Beads of cold sweat poured down his forehead. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had already cultivated the ancient Emperor Divine technique, so his meridians and organs had been strengthened. Otherwise, he would have been killed by the metal origin energy. An ordinary person would not have been able to bear it. He really did not expect the metal origin energy to be so domineering. It felt like it could take his life. In fact, Ling Xiao had been a little too hasty. This most basic origin energy should have been absorbed and refined bit by bit, so that he would not feel this kind of pain. Although this small amount of origin energy was not to be underestimated, the metal-type power it contained was absolutely massive. When it entered his stomach, it naturally produced a huge impact of the elemental power. The metal-type power was the sharpest power in the first place, so the impact was naturally painful. Ling Xiao's Gui Yuan Venerate circulated his energy rapidly and directly absorbed and divided this massive origin energy. At the same time, the ancient Emperor Divine technique was also quietly circulating and devouring this power. Most of the metal origin energy fell into his dantian and was assimilated into the 5 different elemental powers. A small portion flowed into Ling Xiao's flesh, meridians, and organs, causing his already golden organs to shine even more brightly. Ling Xiao spent about 10 days refining this power, and his aura was gradually increasing. However, these increasing forces were compressed by Ling Xiao again and again. They were all gathered at one point, so they didn't explode at all. After this origin energy was completely absorbed and refined by him, Ling Xiao completely released this power. Ling Xiao's aura reached a critical point in an instant. In the blink of an eye, this surging power directly broke through this critical point and crossed into the wider Rongna realm. This power that had been compressed for a long time not only broke through a level in an instant, but it also advanced towards a deeper level before finally stabilizing in the middle level of the mid-level Saint realm. This was the result of Ling Xiao repeatedly compressing and accumulating various powers. This time, he had used the purest origin energy to break through. This was a sacred item that even the Holy Emperor had to rely on. For a saint like him, the effect was naturally even more significant. Chapter 10:18. Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to come out of seclusion after breaking through to the middle stage of the saint realm. Instead, he chose to meditate for 3 days and fully adapt to his new power before slowly opening his eyes. A pair of threatening sharp lights burst forth from his eyes, and 2 substantial forces directly pierced through the stone walls of the cave abode. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The power of the explosion was not inferior to that of a peak middle stage saint, which showed how powerful Ling Xiao was now. With his strength as a mid-level saint, he was completely capable of fighting against a high-level saint. If he used his full strength, he might not even be afraid of a peak saint. Coupled with his various trump cards, he might even be able to fight against a half-step saint emperor. Ling Xiao stood up and exclaimed softly, "I didn't expect this metal origin qi to contain such terrifying damage. Fortunately, I was able to withstand it. I must be more careful next time." Ling Xiao walked out of the cave abode and found many people waiting for him. "Saint Master Ling, you're finally out." Yi Chengrong smiled and went up to greet him. Before he reached Ling Xiao, his old eyes narrowed and he exclaimed softly, "Saint Master Ling, did you break through?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly and replied, "I was lucky enough to break through. This is really worthy of celebration." Yi Chengrong congratulated him, then pointed to the people behind him and said, They are also allies of the Hundred Alliance clan. They know that Saint Master Ling can refine the Holy Emperor pill, so they insisted on coming to see you. Yi Chengrong's attitude in introducing these people was not as enthusiastic as when he introduced Huang Dongsheng, King Qingfu, Zhao Han, and the others. Ling Xiao guessed that their relationship with the Yi family was only ordinary, so he immediately had a plan. Yi Chengrong called those people over and introduced them to Ling Xiao one by one. Ling Xiao's expression was extremely indifferent, in line with his arrogant status as a great saint master. He did not immediately agree to refine the Holy Emperor pill for them, but he gave them a chance to choose, unless they were willing to participate in the plan to attack the dark demonic sect, or they had to pay a much higher price than the Yi family. 2 clans were willing to send people to assist Ling Xiao and the Yi clan in their crusade against the ghastly Python sect, while 4 clans were willing to accept the latter conditions and increase Ling Xiao's compensation. Ling Xiao accepted these tasks and continued to enter the alchemy state. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Ling Xiao had already sent those families away. At the same time, he welcomed the first batch of rogue cultivators. Most of them were saints, and there were 25 of them in total. 6 of them were at the half-Holy Emperor realm, and only 2 were at the Holy Emperor realm. Yi Chengrong ordered people to treat these people well, and at the same time, secretly roped them in to become Yi clan's tributary elders. Some of them accepted the invitation, while others came just for the pills. Ling Xiao stated in advance that he would only refine the pills for them after the battle. Whether they wanted to participate in the battle was up to them to decide. Ling Xiao did this to prevent them from going against the plan after obtaining the pills. If that happened, it would not be worth it. As the Yi clan gradually spread the news, more and more rogue cultivators, mercenaries, and people from other factions arrived. All of them had come for the pills. All of them wanted to improve their strength and increase their lifespan. 3 months later, those who were supposed to come had mostly arrived. A total of 12 Holy Emperor, 30 half-Holy Emperor, and more than 100 saints had gathered. Such a force was enough to draw the attention of anyone. These people were all entertained by the Yi clan. The Yi clan used all sorts of temptations to move these people, hoping to rope in more tributary elders. Yi Chengrong came to the cave dwelling and asked Ling Xiao, "Holy Master Ling, now that everyone is here, when do you think we can start the battle with the Yin demon sect?" It was not only Ling Xiao who was eager to start the battle. Yi Chengrong was the same. Now that he was a high-rank Holy Emperor, he was naturally very confident in fighting the Yin demon sect. "How many Holy Emperor cultivators do we have on our side?" Ling Xiao asked. Yi Chengrong replied, "We have 2 high-rank Holy Emperor cultivators, but it's enough to deal with the 3 high-rank Yin demons. We have 15 mid-rank Holy Emperor cultivators, and 27 low-rank Holy Emperor cultivators. This lineup is enough to deal with the Yin demon sect. After all, the most troublesome thing about the Yin demon sect is that they have too many Yin demons. However, these Yin demons cannot compare to Holy Emperor cultivators of the same rank, so there's no need to fear them." From Yi Chengrong's words, it could be seen that he was very confident in winning this battle. Ling Xiao listened to Yi Chengrong's words and pondered for a moment. Does the Yin demon sect have something to rely on to become one of the 4 major factions? Regardless of what the Yin demon sect relied on, the sky suppression drum was in the hands of the ghost lair. If he used it, even a high-rank Holy Emperor would be instantly killed. Therefore, Ling Xiao had to remind Yi Chengrong to raise their vigilance and not be too conceited. "If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that the Yin demon sect still has a strange demigod killing tool. It's a demonic guiding lamp that can control the mind. As long as you're hit by the demonic guiding lamp's energy, your soul will be temporarily controlled, and you'll be at their mercy. This is also why the Yin demon sect has been able to capture many Holy Emperor cultivators alive and refine them into Yin demons," Yi Chengrong said indignantly. He paused for a moment before continuing. If the Hundred Alliance clan or the other 2 major factions were willing to take action, the Yin demon sect would have been destroyed long ago. It's just that most people are used to a comfortable life, so they won't easily destroy this evil sect. Indeed, no one would do anything that had no benefits between the various factions. The Een demon sect did not offend the Myriad Sword sect or the Yang family, so these two factions would definitely not go to great lengths to deal with them. This would only waste resources and weaken their own forces, so the losses outweighed the gains. If it weren't for the fact that Ling Xiao couldn't take this lying down, he wouldn't be looking for trouble. Now that he naturally chose to destroy the Een demon sect, he definitely wouldn't give in so easily. Demonic guiding lamp? Is there any way to suppress this demigod tool? Ling Xiao asked. What can we do? We can only take it from their hands by force. However, that Een ghost matriarch is at the peak of a mid-tier holy emperor. I don't know if she's advanced any further, but if she does, it'll be a little troublesome. Yi Qingrong said with some worry. Een ghost matriarch? It should be that old witch who gave the order to capture me. Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes slightly and thought to himself. He then said, It's better to be safe than sorry. We must be fully prepared. We're going to destroy the Een demon sect, not fight them to the death. That's right. I'll go discuss with the others and see if there's any way to deal with it. We'll set a specific time to attack the Een demon sect then. Yi Qingrong replied. Ling Xiao said. And I'll have to trouble Elder Yi. Yi Qingrong returned and Ling Xiao sighed and said. Master's wife has been out for so long, but there's still no reply. Could it be that she failed? Ling Xiao really wanted to wait for Feng Qingyuan to return before taking action. But he thought about it again, and felt that it was better not to let his master's wife take the risk. If something bad happened to her, wouldn't he be letting his master down? Thinking up to this point, Ling Xiao allowed Yi Qingrong and the others to discuss the specifics of the crusade against the Een demon sect. About half a month later, Ling Xiao summoned all of his people. Yi Qingrong, Huang Dongsheng, Duke Qingfu, Zhao Han, and the others each brought a group of people over. Every one of these people had reached the cultivation of a saint, and none of them was a mystic arch or even a half-saint. Among them, Yi Qingrong and one of the Huang clan's patriarchs had already reached the strength of a high-stage holy emperor. Huang Dongsheng, Duke Qingfu, Zhao Han, and the others had reached the mid-stage holy emperor. There were also dozens of low-stage holy emperor. Yi Qingrong introduced Huang Dongsheng's uncle, Huang Mantang, to Ling Xiao. Saint Sovereign Ling, I've heard a lot about you. You're really young and promising. Huang Mantang cupped his hands at Ling Xiao and spoke passionately. He originally had no hope of suddenly reaching the high-stage holy emperor, and his lifespan was already at its end. He didn't expect to suddenly obtain a holy emperor elixir to change his fate. This filled him with endless gratitude towards Ling Xiao. Elder Huang is too polite. I believe Elder Yi has already told you that we have a common enemy. That's why we can stand together and become friends. There's no need for such polite words between friends, right? Ling Xiao waved his hand and said. Huang Mantang didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so easy to talk to and immediately smiled happily. Yes, Saint Sovereign Ling is right. We are friends since we can stand here. In the future, if Saint Sovereign Ling needs our Huang clan's help, just say the word. We will not hesitate. That's right. Our Qing clan is the same, Duke Qingfu added with a smile. The other holy emperors also made their promises. They knew that having a good relationship with a great saint master was crucial to the development of their clans. All right, let's cut the polite words. Now Saint Sovereign Ling will lead us to crusade against the ghastly Drake sect. Yi Qingrong pressed his hand down and said. Yi Qingrong's words had undoubtedly pushed Ling Xiao to the leader's position. This was also a way to curry favor with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't be careless. Although he was a great saint master, his strength had only reached the middle stage of the saint realm. How can Ling Xiao take on such a great responsibility? I think it's better for Elder Yi and Elder Huang to lead us. I, Ling Xiao, am willing to advance and retreat together with the two of you. Ling Xiao said humbly. Ling Xiao's words undoubtedly made Yi Qingrong and Huang Mantang feel extremely comfortable. The two of them were the strongest out of everyone, so they naturally didn't want to be suppressed by others. Ling Xiao's suggestion was undoubtedly what they wanted. Thus, this temporarily gathered group of saints and above was led by Yi Qingrong, Huang Mantang, and Ling Xiao to crusade against the ghastly Drake sect. Since they had mobilized so much to crusade against the ghastly Drake sect, it was naturally impossible for them to act in secret. someone would definitely find out. Thus, Ling Xiao simply suggested to slow down their speed towards the ghastly Drake sect. At the same time, they would announce a lot of information to everyone. The righteous would crusade against the evil ghastly Drake sect. The ghastly Drake sect was the leader of all evils, and all righteous men had the right to punish them. At the same time, they would publicize how the ghastly Drake sect had always harmed others and refined living people into demons. The goal of doing this was to let everyone in the stronghold know, so that those who had once been oppressed by the ghastly Drake sect could join forces to crusade against them. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.